All right, what do you say, guys? Want to get started?
Yep.
Like this candle.
Yeah, so welcome back
As
to
you
round.
get started, I'm going to be AFK for about 10 minutes.
That's fine.
Hi, Dan,
Drive safe.
Michael, Tom,
Right.
Tracy. Nice to see you guys. Or
Hey,
not.
Michael.
So what do we got? We got 24 people. That's pretty good. Turn on some cameras. I want to see your faces.
Come on, people.
This is not a webinar.
Get together.
Yeah,
All right.
there we go.
There's Steve.
Very good.
All right,
No,
so let's get started.
Before we get kicking off, I just want to welcome Toby Schnars, or Too Tall Toby, for
Yeah.
stepping in and being our sixth
Toby.
chump tonight. He's our ringer, so we're not gonna let
Such
him
an honor to be here with you guys, I gotta tell you.
We're happy to have you. It's awesome. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Dan.
All right, so let's just kick it off, get through the housekeeping parts. So we are your chumps, Cam, Glenn, myself, usually David, Eric and Todd, and of course, the incomparable Toby. So yeah, we're the ones kind of collecting questions, organizing, answering, and generally not knowing what the hell we're doing. So with
We wanted to
that,
keep it authentic.
yeah, I mean, because we are borrowing from the original Stump the Chumps, and they didn't know what they were doing. So
But we're just trying to emulate SOLIDWORKS company and keep the
Exactly.
spirit alive.
That's right. Anytime Mirasol's involved, nothing good will happen.
nobody knows what they're doing in that case. Yeah, so everyone who's here has seen the invite, so you know basically how this thing is organized. You send us your questions to the SWUGN Chumps email. We compile them and we'll answer them here, but also during the event, if you have any questions at all that just pop into your head, put them in the GoToMeeting chat and we will bring them up at the end of the event, and we'll go through them. We're basically flying by the seat of our pants here, so any kind of interesting things that come up during this time, throw them out there.
This is almost 100% unstructured.
Yes, maybe even more than 100%.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna kick it off with the first one that's gonna highlight our special guest. Someone sent in a question asking, is it possible to model a tetrahedron without using surfaces? And I mean,
Yeah. So if I may give a little bit of background on this, I actually submitted this question before Toby went ahead and answered it. However, when on his YouTube channel, he was having a great big long live stream, and I was just glued to my screen the whole time. One of the things he mentioned was that he would share how to do it without surfaces, because it was something that the competitors were talking about. And well, I wanted to make sure and hold him to it. So I asked him to do it, and he went ahead and put it on his YouTube channel. But I thought that maybe he could share that here too, because I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, of course, be happy to.
yeah, can we put you on the spot? Yeah.
And this is what I'm here for. This is what I live for, right? You see Tom Smith out there. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Tom. Did Dan forget his phone in the
What's going
car?
on, guys?
Like, what's going on there?
I think he was just running in for a second.
I got you.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that, like you said, Cam, we beat this up in during the tournament. There was one of the models for the Heads Up 3D Modeling CAD tournament was kind of a similar challenge, or it had an element of this to it. And there was a lot of discussion of, how do you actually go about modeling something like this? And I actually got some feedback from Doug Kuhn also in the comments after I posted the video of how I do this. So the challenge is to create multi-sided dice, a tetrahedron, something like this. If you're looking at your cameras, like this tetrahedron here, how do you actually go about creating something like that? And any of these polyhedral dice, this is what we did the live stream on Saturday morning. It's on my channel if you want to watch it. But you have this challenge of every side needs to have the same dimensions, every angle needs to have the same dimensions, every edge needs to have the same dimensions. So the way that I approached this was I created a 3D sketch here to get that other line going up, because it's kind of like, what do you do to get that, you know, the next element, the next shape here. Now, one way that you could maybe do it would be to do a plane at an angle, but instead of doing it that way, what I did was I went into 3D sketch here and then created a line. And then what you could do is you could say that you want that line to be the same length as the other side. So I made that 120 per side. And then I did a dimension, an angle dimension here. And so the angle is going to be 60 off of this edge of the base triangle. And then that angle is going to be 60 off of this edge of the base triangle as well. So if you do that 60 off of both of those, then you have your point up top here that you can loft up to. Now, one thing that Doug said that I thought was pretty interesting was, Doug Kuhn's also a former Model Mania champion, just a great guy if you ever have a chance to hang out with him. But what Doug said, what you could do also is you could just make this the same length and then take this point here and make it vertical to this point, or along Y in this case. So I could do along Y there, and that would fully constrain as well and maybe save me that extra dimension. And then you could probably just put a point here and then make this for construction and loft to it. In the demonstration that I gave, I make it its own explicit sketch, but that's just because I love doing layout geometry, and I always overdo it. So then you've got this point up here that's at that peak, and then you could go to features, loft, and you could loft from this triangle to this point here. And then you want to just do a quick measurement of it. So you could click this edge and then look down here in the status bar, and you can see that this is at 120 in the status bar, and maybe do some angle dimensions just to make sure that everything is, you know, at 60. So this is 60 degrees here, and you measure all the rest of them, make sure they're all 60, which they are. And then maybe if you wanted to be absolutely sure, you could go to like an evaluate and do measure and pick one of these faces and see. Yeah, exactly. So 6235.38, 6235.38, and just do all of them just to be sure.
I was impressed in your Saturday morning live stream that, you know, every time you would measure the surface area of one of your polyhedral dice, they were all right on. I was like,
yeah. The one that was really tricky and a little scary was the 20-sided one. I got some pretty cool feedback on that one too, on some of the message boards. They talked about like how that the angle on this one actually follows the golden ratio, and they were talking about phi a little bit, and like people get pretty deep into this stuff. It's pretty cool because there's only a few shapes that meet the criteria of these perfect 3D geometric shapes. So I just thought it'd be fun to model though. When I was coming up through the world of CAD, I had never seen anybody model them, and I was always curious and like had tried and failed a couple of times. But now that I'm a little older, a little stronger, I was like, I'm gonna try it again and see if I can do it.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right, now I gotta take back control here.
Yeah, if any of you guys want to watch that, just hit my YouTube channel, and it was from Saturday. I put bookmarks in the description too, so you can like just jump to the ones you're interested in, or you don't have to watch me struggle for like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to get started on that 20-sided dice. You can just jump right to the part where I finally figured it out. Got help, really. Got help from the chat.
I actually enjoyed that struggling part because I was, you know, it seems more realistic. You know, you go through the same thing. And
Yeah.
trying to figure that out for
Yeah,
yourself.
and Toby, if you want to toss a link to the channel or the video in the chat there, folks can grab a copy of it as well.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just YouTube, Too Tall Toby.
Right on.
I'm probably the only one on there. Actually, I think there's like some old like prison footage. One of the inmates is called Too Tall Toby. So not that one. It's the one with the CAD models.
All right, that's cool. Let's move on. So is Brent here? Because this one was very interesting to me. He submitted a question that says, all of a sudden, they couldn't edit the dimensions in their sketches, and it had something to do with the template. And I wasn't able to get any more information than that. And I'm not seeing his name. So maybe we will come back if he shows up. But I guess until then, does anyone have any idea what kind of template issue would cause you to stop being able to edit dimensions in sketches?
I mean, I've seen stuff like that happen with like when the registry goes bad. I don't know about template. I mean, maybe it was like he did one thing and thought he fixed something, but actually fix something else.
Mhm.
But like I've seen it happen where you double click on a dimension and just like nothing happens, and you're not sure why. You just can't get into edit commands. Those of you who don't know me, I did tech support for like almost 20 years. So I've seen a lot of cases, a lot of SolidWorks cases. So that's what I mean when I said I've seen that happen before. Like it happened on somebody else's machine, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with it. And I said, let's go in and clear your registry, which is a Windows trick you can do to set any program back to the shipped vanilla version of the software. And a lot of times that fixes issues. And it's not like I dug in and figured out what actually went wrong. It's just kind of like a brute force, like I got to remove this window, so I'm just going to take a hammer to it, as opposed to like a very elegant, it's not very elegant. It's very just like, but I mean, a lot of times it's easier just to do that and, get the user back up and running than to spend a day or two trying to dive in and figure out exactly what's the root cause. I can see that maybe happening with like an old template.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Sounds like.
So
The
I've
only thing I can think
seen.
of is
Go ahead, Dan.
this option. This is how we usually know how to add dimensions, but there's an option under Sketch. It's not a document option, but it's a system option for enable on-screen input. So maybe like when that automatic sketch dimension isn't showing up.
Yeah, you gotta hit that second check mark too in that option. Yeah, that's a good thought though, or maybe even like instant 2D. But
That was my thought as well, Toby, that maybe something goofy was going there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if your default templates either get deleted or if they get corrupted, you'll get an error saying you have no default template, right? But it'll still let you create a part.
It'll actually, if you're pointing to that directory, it's kind of a fun experiment you can do. If your system options are pointing to a directory and that directory is empty, at that point, SolidWorks will make the templates from code. Like the software doesn't ship with the default part assembly drawing template. It does ship with the templates that are in the tutorial folder, but it doesn't actually even ship with them. It creates them on the fly from code. So at any point, if you right mouse button on a feature, like Dan, if you right mouse button on sketch 1 in the tree, or I'm sorry, if you right mouse button on front plane in the tree and you go to properties, the properties of that feature, that's the date that was the first time somebody clicked new and it was pointed to a folder that didn't have a template in it. So this is like the date that this template was born.
Dude, your templates are old enough to drive.
That's crazy. I'm gonna have to tell them that.
Update them. Do what he said and like point to a different directory and it'll create ones, and then you can roll those into your templates.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of significant dates like 2003 and 2013, because there were some changes to the way multi-body works, and then there was changes to the way multi-body sheet metal work. So if it was before 2013, I would definitely get new ones into your system.
Yeah.
It might not be something you run into, but then when you do run into it, then it's kind of like too late. It's a pain to fix it.
Yeah. You have no, like, this is my work computer, obviously, and you have no idea how hard it's going to be to make new templates.
Just yeah, under the radar.
Yeah, I have I'll see if I can find some videos that'll help with that. There's some stuff you can do to ease that pain a little, like taking one part and inserting it into another part and then dissolving it, and that'll at least bring across all the properties. Or you can like multi-select your properties and copy and paste them. But
oh no, I'm not talking about like the technical difficulty. I'm talking about the bureaucratic difficulty.
Yeah.
That
yes,
I cannot help.
Tape that is red.
Yeah. So the Amazon robots that are picking up your packages are using SolidWorks templates that are old enough to drive.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Fun. So I had somebody at my my shop run into something sort of similar recently, where when he didn't have any default templates selected, and so every time he created a part, it was creating something new.
Oh, and, yeah, you're right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, when he was in, so he's in a sketch and he comes running to me. He's like, every dimension in my sketch, whether it's a length dimension or a radius, it all says 0.01. He said, I click to edit the dimension. I type something in. It changes the size on screen, but the labeled dimension says 0.01. And I was like, I got to see this. I walk up to his screen, and he's got a fully defined sketch. Every single dimension says 0.01. I was like, what the heck is going on here? So I sit down and I'm like, I got to drive.
So
And
like
it turned out he didn't even have any templates. As soon as I put new templates on there, I just never had the problem again.
That might be what the question we've been asked is.
So like on your machine, Dan, if you make a dimension and if you make a sketch entity and you make a dimension and then you backspace in the dimension properties over the bracket DIM bracket, will it let you just type in whatever you want? Like, could you just type in 0.01?
Sure. I don't see why not.
See if it'll let you.
I keep my, yeah, so I have to tell it, yes, I actually want to, but yep.
So the only reason I'm asking that is because you could then, I mean, you could make that like a dimension favorite and apply that to all the other dimensions, but it's weird that would like just happen on its own to your coworker.
Yeah, it was definitely strange.
I mean, the other thing that I want to just kind of clarify something I said earlier, which is if you have no templates in the default directory, so the default directory is like C program data, Lang English templates, something like that for SolidWorks. If you have no templates in there and you click File New, you'll get that dialog that says, do you want millimeters or inches? Do you want ANSI or ISO? It's asking you that because it's making the new templates. But then there's a different setting in System Options, which is for default templates.
Right.
And that's the setting for you're in an assembly and you go Insert Component, New Part, or you take an existing part and you go to create a derived part off of it. You could say, I want to always use this default template. And if nothing's populated there, then you're absolutely right. You'll get the message that says you don't have any default templates defined. And then it'll bring up a template dialog box and ask you to pick one.
Right.
So I apologize. I think I misunderstood the question.
We're flying by the seat of our pants.
Right.
Yeah. I'm screwing up already, man. This is what I was so nervous about.
Nah.
I've lost my GoToMeeting cameras.
Again?
Are you presenting? That happened to me earlier today. That's something that would me like when I de-docked them, I lost them altogether. I was doing.
And there's no way to like Windows arrow to get them back.
Yeah, I just had to click on the redock, but I think I still wasn't able to get them back.
Yeah, I mean I can get them in the dock, but I can't get them back in big mode.
Yeah, I got nothing for you there.
Yep.
Oh man.
Thought you were the everything expert. All right. So yeah, I hope we at least investigated that a little bit. If Brent shows up, I'd definitely like him to walk us through what he was seeing. This is a good one. This is a fun one that I've investigated several times or had to deal with several times. Why is my model completely black, even though I have a color applied, a real color? And there's no definition, there's no anything.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is a fun one, I think. And I think there's multiple answers, but this is the one that I found most often.
Usually a driver problem.
Well, driver problem, you know, bad graphics card is a good like more technical problem, but sort of an internal to SolidWorks problem. So I've got, you know, red, nothing else applied. Why is my stuff all black? Well, sometimes, whether you like it or not, all these lights will just turn themselves off.
Oh, wow.
That's a weird one.
Nice.
There it is.
Good find.
Yep. And you'll get no definition, and it'll show up. It seems to be most prevalent in drawing views. So
I was going to say, Dan, it happens to me all the time in assemblies.
in assemblies, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I normally see. It's in assemblies.
most of my issues have been in large assemblies.
Yeah,
So
every once in a while it'll happen to me, and it'll happen to a single component inside of an assembly.
Correct.
Nice.
and I think the lighting spec from your part can leak into the assembly. Has anyone had that issue?
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, so I go back into my part.
By those old 2004 templates.
Yeah. And there it is. It's red here too.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Oh yeah, I think
That's cool,
that's
yeah.
a good
gonna
find.
remember
This is
that
kind
one.
of the tips and tricks we're looking for here.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man,
great.
yeah.
All right.
Hey, if I may, I'd like to throw a new wrinkle in this, and maybe this is something Toby could shed some light on. No pun intended on maybe this. But
I think we have to
Yeah.
drink for Eric's puns this time too.
oh hell yes.
There we go.
Double drink.
Okay, here, let me.
As if we need another drinking game.
Yeah, you'll all be hammered by the time I'm done with you then. Okay, so this was something one of my coworkers presented me with. Oh gosh, it might have been actually about a year ago, and I saved this off here. But if we look at this part here, again, it's just a regular old sheet metal part there. You know, you flatten it out there for the water jet, and boom, boom. But you know, if I want to throw an appearance on it, and while it is a sheet metal part here, you know, probably just toss a wood appearance on there. Well, maybe rosewood instead. I don't know. Anybody? Well, let's look at the appearances. There's no appearances there listed.
Broke it.
Boom.
Now look what you've done.
I know this is truly freaky here, you know.
And you got lights on it?
Well, I'm glad you asked there, young man.
Check your lighting. Check your lights.
Let's just really crank up the ambient light.
Yeah.
And it is on.
Yeah.
Try delete all part appearances.
Ah.
Oh, you've got an old style texture, it looks like.
Yep. So again, here, let's
Can you right click on the part and do a delete?
certainly.
What color do you have your part color set to?
Well, it's just the stock color here, you know. We'll remove.
No, I mean in your settings for your individual features.
It's
Go to options.
trust me. It's
Yeah.
not that.
Okay.
I know what you're saying there, Dan. It's not that. Because again, if I were to do something like
Yeah, if you go to that appearance, remove all part appearance with the X there.
yeah.
Yeah, that one. And then in the configuration tree, there's no display state on this model.
There you go. Toby's
Okay.
got some good eyes there.
Well, yeah,
There
I mean,
is absolutely no display states in this model. And I have spent countless times after my coworker shared this part with me, I have tried every which way but loose to delete all the display states from a part model. And I have been wholly unsuccessful. So
What's
again,
the date on this template?
2003.
I know it sounds funny, but I'm just curious
Yeah.
because like old sheet metal templates
1972.
got a little bit wonky. Those
06.
yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, it shouldn't, obviously, it shouldn't behave this way, but
Yeah.
It is
It is
14, so
female.
it's pretty angsty.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You're not my real mom.
I mean, when you make a new config, does the new config auto generate and also, are you able to go into the display state properties? That'd be my two questions. It's two-part.
Yeah.
Use config specific color. Would that help?
There you go.
Oh.
Now you go to display state.
Now there it adds a display state.
So now
indeed.
right mouse button on that and go to properties. And then say, don't link the display state to the configurations, because that way each configuration will, now you can see all of them, even the hidden ones.
Yeah, there it does behave. But yes, that was what we ended up solving it to do. But I had saved this copy off because, again, there was just no way for the life of me I could have figured out how the display state could have been utterly gone.
It's a weird one, and
Yep.
you know, display states are when you use that option, it says link display state to configuration. So when you go into the properties of a display state and you say link to configuration, what you're saying is, when I change from config 1 to config 2, I also want to change from blue to black or whatever. Insert scenario here. So that's the purpose of them being linked, and that's a tech support call I've gotten a lot, because in sheet metal, if you apply a material in the flat pattern, a lot of times the appearance of the material will land on the flat pattern but won't land in the form view. So in tech support, the question is, why does my part look different in formed view versus flat view? Why does it have two different appearances? And then the answer is, oh, you got to give them a little mini lesson on how display states work. So that's why when you opened it, I was right away like, wait a second, so display states are missing here. That's a tricky one though.
Good,
Sure.
good observing, because that's why I also deliberately opened the model with that config panel showing, just to see if anyone would clue into that.
Yeah.
So that was a good problem, Eric. But if you don't know how to recreate it, how can we prank our colleagues?
Yeah, I could certainly share this file with you, and you could delete the existing features and build your own in there. So maybe I'll put a link to this on the SWUGN Chumps channel or something.
Yeah,
you were telling us to update our templates.
I'll wait till April 1st and change it to the global default template and see if anybody knows.
All right,
Hey, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you right mouse button in the blank area in the display states area? Now click remove all display states.
That was loud.
Yep.
Yeah, it still leaves you with one. I mean, it should.
Still leaves you with one. Yep.
Okay.
It should. Yeah, display states came along mainly because in an assembly, there are downstream performance ramifications to having multiple configurations. Like when you make a drawing, if you have two different drawing views of an assembly and they're two different configurations, the whole assembly essentially needs to reload. And so customers were saying, do I really need to make a new configuration if all I'm doing is hiding some of these parts? And so SolidWorks development team thought about that and was like, let's see if we can come up with a better solution. And I think it's good in assemblies, but I think in parts it probably causes as much headache as it causes help. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, I get it, but now I got to learn a whole new thing. And once you learn it, it's fine. But until then, and like it's not really explained, you're just kind of like, why do they look different? Why does a flat pattern look and it's always like just a little bit different. Like one of them's polished and one of them's not or something.
You know, just a couple RGB levels off, one
Yeah.
gray versus the other, and you're like, and you're tweaking your lights, you know, oh, maybe if I bump up the ambient or something.
You got it, yeah. Maybe
Right
nobody noticed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again, gentlemen, for a little more insight. Like I said, we had figured this one out eventually, but again, having you, Toby, provide some more insight into some of these behaviors and stuff is always good to file away in the back of the head.
Yeah, it's a good one. Sheet metal
So
does
we
weird
got a-
stuff with display states too, like multi-body sheet metal does weird stuff. There's a lot more under that there's a lot more in that Pandora's box, but we don't have to go there now.
Right. So we've got a question in the chat now. We mentioned cleaning the registry to reset all your issues mostly. How do you do that?
Yeah, so that one, I could defer you to a video. I can throw a video up from the old days when I worked with Prism. I posted a pretty long video about it because I posted a long video because I wanted you to see some tricks you can use to capture all your settings. But ultimately, when you do it, your settings are gone. Like everything is gone. You can't just go back. You can't do like a copy settings wizard to do it. I know Tom Smith, I know you've got a lot of experience with registry. I mean, you could probably give some good tips and tricks too here.
Yeah, I gave up doing that. I use the SOLIDWORKS settings file now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll show my screen real quick here, but I just want to preface this by saying, like, don't try this at home. I'm not recommending anybody does this. You can totally screw up everything if you do this wrong. But basically, you know, like here I am, I'm in SolidWorks. You can see my layout, my icons. You can see like everything is, you know, I do a little bit of customization when I'm working in SolidWorks, customize the S key, stuff like that. And so the way that you do it is you go into a command called reg. But if I go here to H key current user and I go to software and then I go down here to SolidWorks. So you can see here, if I go down to SolidWorks, actually there's a bunch here that I have renamed already. I could rename this to before user group. And so there's a very special spot you have to be in when you do this. Whoops, it didn't, oh, it doesn't zoom in on zoom it. Whoops, now we're in a break. All right, break time. There's a very special spot you need to be in, like it's called H key current user, and if you're not there, you can really cause yourself a lot of heartache. But now basically what's going to happen is when this launches, and this is clearly my Windows 7 machine, which is why I'm on the older build of SolidWorks. Service Pack 3 of 2020 is out now. I don't know if anybody had a chance to try it out. It's a good time though. But now you can see that I basically tricked Windows into thinking this is the first time that I launched SolidWorks. And so now it's going to launch with all the default add-ins turned on, and it's going to launch with the default, all the default settings, all the vanilla or out-of-the-box settings. They're actually copied from another place in the registry, which I'll talk about momentarily. But you can see here, once it gets done uploading or launching. This is why it's good not to have all the
motorhome that's launching there.
What's that?
There's a fine looking motorhome which was launching there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can make it work.
So you can see here now that it's all out of the box stuff. If I go new, now here you see we're in this spot where I don't have templates in that directory actually. Actually, let me browse to that directory so we can see that little callback to earlier in the presentation, right? So I think it's in program data, SolidWorks. Yeah, okay, so look, so here's program data, SolidWorks 2019 templates. That is the default location of when you go here to file locations and then you go to document templates, see program data, SolidWorks 2019, SolidWorks templates. That's the default location. So when I click new here, see this is empty right now. When I click new here, it says, you don't have templates in the default directory, so I'm going to make some templates for you now. What units do you want to work in? What standard do you want to work to? I'm going to make a new template, and this is what I'm going to use when I make the template. So I hit OK here, and now you see, look at this, it's making those templates for me. There it is, cool. Assembly drawing part template created for me. And so now you can see that when I'm looking through the software, all my settings are back to the vanilla out-of-the-box settings. And so you can see the S key isn't the same. I don't have the auto dimensions. Instant 2D is turned on. Shaded contours is turned on. This is all stuff that I normally wouldn't have turned on. And you can also see that the color scheme is using the default kind of blue and white color scheme here. Same thing with all my system options. Everything is going to be back to the out-of-the-box settings. So it's a good, like I say, it's definitely a brute force thing. In the video, what I describe is this is something that you can do to maybe really quickly figure out if this resolves the issue. Like if you do this and the issue you're having a bunch of random crashing. If you do, or really like ideally a repeatable crash. So every time you make an arc and add tangency to it, SOLIDWORKS crashes. So if you do this and then it doesn't crash anymore, well, the issue somewhere in your registry. You could spend all day going through your registry and trying to fix it, or you could just move forward and keep working for the rest of the day. But if you make that change and then this doesn't fix it, what you can do is you could either delete or rename this one. You could say still crashes. And then you could go back to the one that you had renamed earlier in the day, and you can set this back to what it was, and now you're going to get all your settings back. That's the benefit of renaming it. You don't have to rename it, but it doesn't hurt you. You can see I have all these ones in here that I renamed. It doesn't hurt me. And now when I go back to launch SOLIDWORKS, now it's going to be using the all of the settings that I had before I went through and did that exercise. So I'll find that video as I go, off here after I stop sharing the screen. And I'll show you guys a video, share it with you, show you, how to, it's like 15 minutes long. It's kind of long, but I had a coworker who thought he was on a customer's machine and thought he was doing a clean uninstall, and he was on remote desktop, but he was actually on his own machine, and he blitzed the wrong keys and like just ended up frying his whole setup basically.
Oh, no.
And that's kind of the risk if you don't do it right. So that's why, I kind of take my time and explain how to do it and explain some different tricks you can use to like still recoup some of your settings. But, another scenario is that I've had customers who I've worked with who have done the registry clear, and then they load the copy settings wizard, which when you create a copy settings wizard, you're creating a .sld reg, which is just like a subset of registry. So this file here from copy settings wizard is reloading everything back into the registry. So a lot of times they clear the registry and then they just load the problem right back in. So like this isn't really a good diagnostic tool for that exercise. If you're trying to figure out whether or not the issue is in the registry or somewhere else, loading your settings back in doesn't help that troubleshooting process.
But what you could do.
Go ahead. Sorry, there's a lot of.
No, it's all right. But what you could do is you could load your copy settings wizard, right, and then reset your registry, see if it fixed the problem. If it doesn't fix the problem, then reload your settings, right?
Yeah, you could do that, and it's funny because that almost sounds like the same thing as just renaming it and renaming it back. But I've actually done that and had that fix the issue before. It's very nuanced and definitely like a fringe scenario. Like, what's the difference between doing that and doing what I did? I think that maybe when you do the copy settings wizard, it doesn't pull all of the background crap with it. It only pulls what's pertinent to the current build. And so maybe that's what's different. I don't know for sure, but I have had that. I actually have had that fixed issues, and they're usually weird issues. Like an example of an issue that could be caused by registry would be you launch the line command and like something is missing over here. Like some area of this dialog box is missing for some reason, or like the property manager should come to the foreground, but it doesn't, or like little weird UI things. Those are usually registry related things. And then instabilities, that's the other one. Like if you do a certain number of steps and then it just crashes, it could be that you're making a call to an option or to a library that isn't properly mapped. And so renaming the registry fixes that and saves you the time of having to figure out which option isn't mapped properly. Like I said in the beginning, it's definitely more brute force than like elegant troubleshooting. But when you're under a deadline, a lot of times it's just like, I don't care what you got to do, just get SOLIDWORKS working on my machine again so I can get this thing out the door and go home. So it's great in those spots.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you. All right.
I have to know, who was it that nuked their registry?
It was Brad Snow. I mean, I can't divulge who that was. That was Brad. Brad would probably tell you himself that it was like
I've
funny.
said too much.
Yeah.
I
He
know
renamed, or no, he deleted his HKey local machine SolidWorks while he still had SolidWorks installed on his machine.
Oh
And
no.
he was just
Deleted?
stuck after that. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yep.
Last
he
month
tried-
in episode 1, I was talking about how you could go into your registry editor to reset all your user interface dialogues if you lost something off screen and couldn't get it back.
That's another great
Oh my
spot.
goodness! Everybody was like, "Don't go in your registry editor."
No, that's a great spot too.
that's
The other thing you can do there, if you lose something off your screen and you can't get it back, is disable your second monitor, or like just like mess with your monitor configuration, like plug in an extra monitor or go into your monitor settings and like flip which sides they're on. Windows has a lot of built-in like auto bring everything back onto the screen functionality. So even resize your resolution. I've had that fix things. So I'll have I'll only have one monitor and I'll have a dialog box that's off screen, and then I'll resize my resolution, and then it'll pull that back on screen through some kind of Windows tool, like Windows functionality. So those are all little good tricks that you can do. Yeah, maybe look at your cameras back. Yeah.
Did it work, Dan?
It did.
Nice.
But let's see what happens when I revert.
Wow. That would be amazing if that fixed it.
Yep. Cameras are still here.
That's awesome, man. There you go. That's Stump the Chump magic.
I was gonna transfer the meeting to somebody else and drop out and come back, but no.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's a great little like Windows thing you can try to remember, is that Windows does a weird thing where it like tries to pull everything back on when you change the resolution. It's good.
Yeah,
so
definitely,
awesome
folks, remember pardon me, definitely remember that, when someone says, oh, just edit the registry, that is the quote unquote hold my beer of the nerd world.
Yeah. All right, do you want to go to the next slide, or do you want to go to our chat question?
Okay, yeah, we got a chat question from Tracy Wedding. Any favorite out of the box hacks, like holding the M key as you drag an instant 3D handle off a sketch? It creates a mid-plane extrusion. I've actually got one. I know I've shared this a couple times in other presentations. I don't know if it's been with this group, but this is something I picked up a few years ago at one of the SolidWorks now 3D Experience World conferences. But here, let me.
I reassigned my M key. Someone else might have to do it.
Okay. Let me go into my tools, my system options here for a moment. So again, your spin box values. And remind me where those are. Spin box increments. Oh, right there. Okay, so my metric units, I'm gonna leave that at 10 millimeters here. But let me start a new part here. Save Tom's part for another minute here. Okay, start me a sketch. Boom, boom, boom. Draw me a line. Let me switch over to the millimeter work here. Okay. So again, as you said, we can, of course, type in our value, but if we want to make it jump according to our spin box values, but if you hold down the control key, oh, I'm sorry, hold down the shift key, I hit the wrong one there. Oh, my keyboard's acting up here. Sorry, folks.
Having technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Let's make you mad enough to swear.
It's the
Okay,
alt
there we
key.
go.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
alt key.
alt is one of them. Yep.
Yeah.
If you hit alt, it'll go by 10%.
Okay.
Notice there, I started at 100. My spin box increment was 10, and
We shift. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
pretty cool.
it's control. Control is
yeah.
what jumps it. But I just noticed my box is so small, I was hitting slightly above it with my arrow.
So
control,
correct me if I'm wrong, but control multiplies your spin box by 10. Is that correct?
yes, and alt divides it by 10.
That's
Wow.
cool.
For your spin
I like
box
that.
increments.
I didn't know that until you started doing it. That's pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I saw
We gotta
that.
try
I think it might have been either 2015 or 2016 World when I was in one of the bar tech tip, 1,000 tips in 1,000 nanoseconds type presentation or something. And if you blink, you missed it or something. But again, that's a Tracy says the suspense is killing us. Sorry.
It seems like I've seen Todd Blackshirt do that one before. Is that right, Todd?
Possibly. I do a lot of button mashing.
Yep.
So I'm
What
gonna
did I
demo
use?
the chip that Tracy just sent us because I learned something from that one too. So you all know you can click on a sketch, and as long as you've got instant 3D on, you can pull it out, to whatever distance. Apparently, if you hold M, it's a mid-plane.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's
Cool.
nice.
Tight.
There's
Did
a.
everybody know also
there's
that
a-
you,
Sorry, go ahead.
if you start an extrude, you can do a very quick up to surface by double clicking on your surface.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
It's just an easy one.
That's clutch.
There's a cool trick there using that same arrow on a feature, on an extruded feature to turn it into a cut extrude as well.
Yes. Here, let me, I don't know. There's a flat face I can draw on? No.
It's like some weird font making it curved or something.
And I will do that. So pull it out. You've got a boss. Push it back in past 0. You've got a cut.
And if you
And you
watch
don't-
the feature manager, it changes as you're doing it.
That's true. So if I
That's
undo
cool.
boss extrude, and you don't have to have pulled it out the first time. You can have done it any way you make an extrude. And then getting close, and then
Oh my goodness.
cut extrude. Interesting, the icon changes before the text does. It's a boss icon, but a cut text. And I let go, and now it's a boss.
As far as I know, that's the only way to convert a cut to convert a boss to a cut and back.
Without a product that starts with X, I think you're correct.
Yep. That is correct. I would
Nice.
definitely say that is one super feature.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, I got one tip. I'm sharing my screen.
You got something?
Yeah, I got one tip. So
Look at this dark theme.
yeah, like that.
Yeah.
So
Some
let me
red
go ahead
line.
and show my front plane. So I've seen lots of people they'll hold control and grab one of these gumballs to bring out an offset plane, and then you can go ahead and type in your offset dimension there. But to me, that's almost like even one step too many, because if you just hold control and click on the gumball, now you can type. You don't even have to do the extra step of dragging.
Wow.
Good
Wow,
call. Good call.
So that's one I like.
that's cool.
Is that available with SOLIDWORKS 2018 or later?
I think you just have to have
Question for a bar.
3D turned on to get that gumball to show up. I think as long as you have that turned on, it'll work.
Is it only by selecting the gumball, or can you just select the edge of the plane itself?
Oh, let's see.
You can select the edge. You
Yep.
can't select
Right.
the middle.
Right, not anywhere in space, but if I selected the edge, what about that?
That's
Nope.
cool.
And I
Yep.
believe holding Alt or Shift will move the plane for you. Not the front plane, obviously, but
Oh, come on. Well, that would have been cool.
yeah, you can't do it with the front, the main 3 planes.
Move it
You
back
said
and
alt?
forth.
Like if you've got an offset plane, holding Alt or Control will move it instead of copy it, I think.
Oh, so
I see.
change the offset value, Dan?
Correct.
Oh, right on.
Ah,
Try it out. I'm not totally sure if I'm correct, but I seem to remember that.
Okay.
well, if you have Instant 3D, that arrow should show up just by clicking anywhere on the plane.
Well, yeah, I don't have to hold any modifier key at all if I click that gumball in the center. Just highlight, activate the plane, grab that gumball, and it moves.
That's actually exactly why I don't work with Instant 3D turned on.
So let's turn
This
Instant
exact
3D
scenario, because a plane
Right?
constantly inadvertently moving planes.
So none of my modifier keys are offering me any sort of move plane right now.
Then I was completely wrong. I'm sorry.
It happens to the worst of us.
Oh,
Chumped the stump then, Dan.
One that I like to use, Cam, while you're on there is if you hold control and press down the wheel, like you're gonna zoom, it puts you into pan. I think that's a good one to know about. So don't roll the wheel, yeah, just control and press down on the wheel and move. That's like your pan
Okay.
short. A lot of people don't know about that one.
I like that one.
yeah, I do that too. I like
Yeah.
that.
I like your assistant, Cam.
Yes, they're sneaking in before bedtime.
Oh, hey.
I missed that.
Look at you wearing
My
all
assistant's
green.
here. Yeah.
Hi.
Play some drums. Play some drums.
Yeah,
If I repeated that, she absolutely would. So I
Awesome.
don't think
exactly.
That's why Cam has his headphones on.
Yeah.
You like seeing everybody? I think they like seeing you too. You're cute.
Hey, kiddo.
All right. I think we
All
can
right.
move on.
Moving on.
Unless somebody else has something.
Matthew says when you
Alright.
sketch a square, you can press the A button to toggle through all the options. That's good too. In the
Yeah.
in the
That
property
A
manager,
key
anytime
works for
really. Like,
so many of those sketch
Yeah.
commands.
yep.
Tangent arcs, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arcs, slots,
Matthew.
the circle options.
Yeah,
It
I've
works
been-
to jump between almost any option in anywhere in SOLIDWORKS, I'm pretty sure.
I've been totally missing out because I long ago switched my A key to hide and show temporary axes.
Mm.
Uh,
Hold on.
I might have to get rid of that.
Hey,
Probably doesn't
wait.
work with the auto dimensions.
it
Sorry,
does
Cam.
not.
That's the one. That's what we sacrifice when we use auto dimensions. All that
Oh,
cool
man.
functionality. Worth it.
I think so. All right, let's try this again.
Oh yeah.
You guys want me to unmute so you can hear her play the drums?
Oh, for sure. Doop. Does restart the sketch though. So yeah, rectangles, and I can do 2 tips in a row here. So you know how you can draw a line, click your endpoint, go out, come back. All of a sudden it's a tangent arc.
Oh yeah.
My God. A brings that back to a line.
A also allows you to bring it to a tangent arc.
Yeah, so you could start. And then It's based on wherever my mouse pointer is at the time. Because if I go and come back this way.
There's 8 ways to do it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep. Go backwards. Anyway, so that's a couple tips there.
Cool.
All right. So here is a good question. Can I change line fonts of individual bodies in a multi-body part drawing? The short answer seems to be no. You can change component line fonts. You cannot change body line fonts, but you can always get creative. And this is the art of the hack. I've got my body, my multi-body part here, and then I've got one that's got a different line font, even though you're not supposed to be able to do that. But I definitely cheated. I have 2 different configs, subconfigs,
Nice.
A only and a B only, and I changed the component line font, but it's not even that simple. You have to change the component line font only in the view you've selected. Because if I'm going to change it in all views, which is the default check, everything is going to be a different font. So that's my cheat. It really depends on what kind of views you're looking for. It only works in some cases. But I can't think of a better idea. And no one from SOLIDWORKS wanted to show up to take our enhancement requests.
You do not have to create configurations to get what you're showing there.
Or display states.
Oh, or you can, right inside the view, just say select bodies
Yes.
in the view properties.
Here, I gotta move this back over here. And I can say, I only want to include in this particular view, this body.
Yes.
Check. And then my A is gone. So yeah, there are a few different ways. You can make configs, you can make display states, you can choose, can I undo? Will that just bring it back? Nope. I'll just make this guy my default.
Sorry, I screwed up your entire drawing.
No, not at all. Yeah, I need to submit this tomorrow, so I'm going to need you to. But also for anyone that didn't know,
Stay on the call, Dan, after we end.
Under the properties of your view, you can say, I want to, if it was a component, if it was an assembly view, there'd be a hide show components. But you can also just say, all right, in this view, I want to hide this guy. Apply. The outline is still there until I click OK. And that's how you get. But then you've got so many different ways to hide bodies in a view. Doing it that way is probably a good way for people not to know what you did. But yeah, so that's 5 different ways to have different bodies in different views. Configs, display states, properties, hide show bodies.
Probably could selectively select edges, but that would
you
be
could get rid of edges individually, and you could change your font, your edge fonts individually. So if you wanted to select every edge of this body you care about, and then change it down here to centered and thick and green,
that sounds
you could do that.
If you had a multi-body part that was like a big, giant, massive one with one part sitting in the middle that you wanted to change the font of, just in the middle of all of those,
you could box select.
You know, you could box select, or you might be able to save. You could probably save it as an assembly and then do that. But outside of that, that's probably pretty hard to do.
Yep. So it's not easy. It's a good enhancement request.
That and make undo actually undo stuff.
For more than 2 seconds.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, that stuff. That actually is something that the team focuses.
Even after rebuild.
My previous job built their own simulation program for particles, and they just didn't put an undo in the program because it was too hard. Yeah, that was rough.
And the escape, actually do escape the function would be nice as well.
Yeah, I think that's been the number one. That's been the #1 top 10 request like
What-
8 years.
What'd you
out
say,
of the last
Michael?
12.
I missed what you said.
Escape, 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 escape. It would be nice if it actually escaped, stop the function when it was supposed to stop.
Some stuff it does, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Make escape,
Like,
actually
locked
escape.
in.
Make escape, escape again.
Yeah,
That's the one.
I like that.
Yep. All right. So what is the best and easiest way to create a drawing of a sheet metal part on one sheet, showing both folded and unfolded at the same time? This came from Francisco Martinez. Is he here today?
Is he here?
Oh man.
I don't see.
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw him on the call earlier.
Yeah. Francisco, can you unmute and talk to us? Pretty please. Okay. Never mind.
Maybe he doesn't have video.
Yeah. So, Todd, do you want this one?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right. Hopefully everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and pull some stuff out of the way here so I can see what's going on. Okay, so this one was pretty straightforward, but I dug into it a little bit and there was some extra stuff that I kind of wanted to show. So when I opened it up, he has a sheet 2, and with the way these marks are, it looks like this was meant to be a flat pattern, or he wanted it to be a flat pattern, because it's set up well for it.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that I'd probably rotate it really quick. But anyways, going back to the first page, if we wanted to put a flat pattern in here, I was just going to say, come in here, he may need to update his views because it should show up in here and just be able to drag it in. Say good to go, blah, blah, blah. I always like rotating them, so I'm going to do that because I can. Anywho.
A flat pattern should just be a config. Sometimes that gets screwed up, but.
And they get out of sync and it's weird.
Yeah.
But anyways, the thing that I thought was kind of funky about this is I opened up the part, and the first thing that I usually do is I'll, roll it back up and kind of see how they did it. And this is how we do parts, where we'll draw it flat and then we sketch the bends. And I've got something funky that I'm going to show later on a different part, but this is your prequel. So sketch bend, edge flange. The thing I was going to add was that you could actually do both of those edge flanges on this one feature and have them both here, just to kind of clean things up a little bit if you want. And then throws in the tab, a jog, throws in a plane so he can do the miter flange, flip to the other side, do the same thing, rock a hem on there, break the corners, and then he's got some countersinks, which I always hate seeing those knife edges, but it is what it is. One thing that's kind of fun that I've done before, if you wanted to do all these in one sketch, just do a 3D sketch. That's kind of a nice way to do it. But the thing that caught my eye was this. Just because it's a sheet metal part doesn't mean you can't make it sexy. So clean that up a little bit. And
well, and also, how are you supposed to cut with no kerf? No matter what's cutting that, it's going to leave a kerf.
It's the best laser ever.
Water jet. Yeah.
It's down to the molecule.
Right.
So just doing this will clean it up and make it a little bit prettier, but the guys on the press brake probably aren't going to like this because they're going to want to overbend that a little bit, and with it sitting like that. So I would come back in and tweak it like this because it's going to be easier to bend, and it'll also be easy if you want to throw a weld in there.
Yeah, easier to weld with a gap there. Yeah.
I can't tell what's different between the first one and the second one.
Oh,
One was overlap, one was kitty
so
corner.
the first one, this extended all the way to the end. So these
Oh,
two were
okay.
on the same plane. And
Okay.
it looks really cool. I like seeing parts like that, but the press brake guys hate it. So you'll get an earful, and I don't recommend it. So we'll roll this back.
So Tom is asking, what key advances through the tree the way you're doing?
See, I watched that too, and I was wondering if it was enter to redo last action or something like
There's
that.
an
No,
option
no.
for this.
Use the arrow key.
Tools options.
Arrow key navigation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice.
So feature
I
manager.
forgot about that one.
Arrow key. I live by that. Obviously.
Love it.
You have to click on your rollback bar first, and then it'll work.
Yes. Anytime you come over into here and do anything, your arrow key goes back to the view rotate. So you just have to move that, and then you can arrow key through.
And there's always part reviewer, which is fun.
Yes. Couple of errors, and this, I just bring this up because I saw something interesting in here. Number one, please read the messages. That's what they're there for. Dimensions to model geometry which no longer exist. Well, I jacked around a bunch of stuff here, so yeah, there probably is something missing. And you can tell by the, we'll just call it baby diaper brown, that it's lost its place. And when you click on it, you see the meatball. And that's where the edge used to be. Well, the one thing that I wanted to do before I do anything here, because that came off the back, this other one comes off the front. So I just wanted to check that before I did anything with this. Edit that, click that, grab the meatball, drag it over here is where you had the other one. This was 7. The reason I did that was because these two holes didn't line up when I fixed it originally. And then this one, I like to hit this because that'll tell you right away which one's causing the problem. Or I can just look for that really nasty color, drag it over, relink
You've
it.
done a good job of making it a color you don't want to stick around for.
Yes.
That's true.
When I taught Essentials, I would always call it baby diaper brown because that's about how nasty it was. So anyways, that was kind of a fun part, and I thought, okay, let's elaborate on this, even though he was just asking about being able to do that in the drawing, which that was pretty straightforward.
Oh, you lost your flat pattern.
Can I add on to that flat pattern question
Jump
for
in.
a second, Todd? I just want to share one other thing that I've noticed about this topic is that when you create sheet metal geometry, like you said, it's just a matter of adding it to a drawing essentially. But what happens automatically is a new flat pattern is configured. So I'll call this flat part, even though I know it's a formed part right now. And you can see over here in the tree, there's only the one single configuration, which is called default. And then if I go file, make drawing from part, it's at this point that you'll see the new
Configuration generated.
the geometry of the new configuration shows up over here. Like in order for this to exist, a new configuration needs to have been created. Otherwise, you won't see this. Even though it's just a preview, you won't see it unless a new configuration has been created. So it's really just the act of doing that. Even if I cancel it out of the drawing, just the act of doing that made this new derived configuration. And it's a derived configuration and it's named a certain way, which actually gives you some additional functionality. So if, for example, I made one here called Toby Flat, a new configuration, and I emulate the flat pattern configuration, which is really just taking the flatten feature and unsuppressing it. So if I go over here to the flatten feature and I unsuppress it, oops, what I end up with is a config that's essentially emulating this config here. Like they look identical geometrically, but they will behave differently in the drawing. And the place that we would get that in tech support is people would say, how come I can't see my bend notes? So here you see I drag in the configuration, which is called default flat pattern 1. This is the one that SOLIDWORKS made automatically. And then I'm going to make a copy of that drawing view, Control C, Control V. And then in this configuration, I'm going to say Toby flat. And we notice that the, oops, did I point to the, oh, when I did that, it created another derived configuration of that because I had the default SM flat pattern there. Kind of a bad example, I guess. So, all right, yeah. So I just wanted to quick point that out real quick. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. But yeah, in the other one, I wouldn't get some of those. I wouldn't get some of that functionality in the other one. That was my point. So just keep that in mind, is that when you go to create your drawing view, when you go to create a drawing of a flat pattern of a sheet metal part, the drawing creation automatically creates a derived flat pattern config, and you'll get additional functionality there that you won't get otherwise. So you won't get that show bend notes, you won't get the option to pick it up and flip it on the drawing sheet. Like it actually wants it to be a derived configuration with the appropriate naming convention.
Awesome.
Question.
Yeah. That's great. Shoot. Yeah.
Can you rename a manually created derived configuration to emulate that?
Yep, you can. I've done that. It's a great question. I've done that in tech support before. And then you get the functionality back. I can't remember offhand if it's just derived or if you have to have that default SM flat pattern, whatever it is. It's the name of the configuration, which is usually default because that's the first configuration in all your default parts, and then it's SM for sheet metal dash flat pattern. I can't remember offhand. I'll have to try it, but you can. Yes, the short answer is yes. You can get it back if you make it derived and name it the same way.
And Toby, you said that that derived config only creates itself when you add the flat to a drawing. It doesn't create itself when you activate the flatten tool in the part.
That's correct. Right. The flatten tool, all the flatten tool does is unsuppress that feature in the tray. So when you hit the flatten tool, if you look at the feature tree, you'll see that last feature in the tree will become unsuppressed. That's all it's really doing. So I think that's why people end up getting into trouble because they have created the two configurations, right? So whose screen is this that we're looking at right now?
Oh, it's mine. Go ahead, take it.
No. You can show it here. Like if you go to your configuration tree, do you have the flat pattern underneath there? Yeah. Okay. So double click on that flat pattern. So now you see you've got a formed and a flat, and then go back to your formed configuration. And then go over to the feature tree so you can see the last feature in the tree, and then click on the flatten icon on the sheet metal toolbar.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. And so, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that exactly, but
you kind of gave away the game.
Yeah, if you go into that feature, there's probably stuff in that feature that is not unsuppressing properly. But what happens there is that a lot of times people end up inadvertently doing this. Yeah, so now if you go back to the configuration tree, now you'll have a configuration that looks like it should be formed but is flattened, and then if you go to the flat configuration, it is also flattened. So you basically have both your configurations flattened. So now if you were to jump into the drawing, all your views would be flattened, and you'd be like, what the heck happened? Yeah. Why is everything flat? I don't get it.
Yep. Or vice versa, that can happen, right?
More commonly vice versa, yeah. You go to the flat config, you unflatten it by accident because you just want to see it formed, but you don't realize you're actually in a different configuration and actually unsuppressing that last feature. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good sneak peek at this one. Click on flatten. Oh, it's not going to do it.
Sorry about that.
Flatten.
Alternate position view. That's what it is, right?
Wow.
So a good general sheet metal tip that I got on for creating sheet metal drawings recently, and I went many years without thinking about this from the perspective of the press brake operator, is if you have the majority of your bends going one direction, like you want up to be the majority or the on your drawing, because that's the way the sheet metal operator is going to be looking at the part.
Yeah, you can pick it up and flip it. Is that what you're saying?
there's a flip. So
On the drawing.
if all your bends say down, then that's probably the opposite that you really want, because your press brake operator, by nature
Right.
of the tool, is bending up.
Yep.
So just flip it and show you opposite side.
Yeah, flip it. Or the other spot for that is like if you're outputting the DXF and you want the burrs to be on a certain side, that's the other reason where I've used flip, is to make sure I get the burrs on the desired side.
Because we do it for what we call A side and B side, and A side's your money side, which is going to be the most visible. And so you don't want, die marks, and if it's, tape, you want the tape on that side.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that, for those of you that don't know, that's when you're in the drawing, there's a button that says flip on sheet metal views that are being recognized as proper flat patterns. That's another thing that won't show up if you manually create the configuration. But when you actually have a legit sheet metal configuration, there's a button that says flip, and that's what it does. It picks up the whole thing and flips it over, which if the part is symmetric, it doesn't matter. But for asymmetric parts, it's very important. And just kind of piggybacking on what Todd said, when you have an important side.
Yep. So, no, this was just a funny part that I ran into the other day where I tried to flatten it, it wouldn't. I click it again, and it will, and it'll just go through this loop all day long, where it'll flatten or it won't.
Something about the order of the bends.
And it's not even that. It's if you suppress that one, it has no problem. And so what it was.
What is this sorcery?
This was a really quick and dirty, ugly part. And I've seen them before where I've been able to fix where this was tied to old geometry. And if I delete that, I've seen it before where if I move that up into the part, that will fix things. So I move that up so it's inside. For whatever reason, that just seems to do it. But on this one, it didn't. So if I come back to try to flatten it, it looks good. It doesn't look good. It looks good. It doesn't look good. And so what ended up happening was I just suppressed this, went in, did a new sketch. Insert my bends. Change that. I think it's 65. We'll find out soon enough.
Clang.
Yeah. Kerkong. Of course, I went the wrong way, but that's okay. That's why you flip.
Flip you for
So
real.
now I come back in. Flatten's just fine. No issues. Weirdest thing. But that was the fix. There was something in that sketch that just was tied in and blew away that sketch, put in another one, and it worked.
Now
Hey, Todd,
dragged your bottom point.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
You had dragged your bottom point to the edge of your part, where the other one was either below it or above it. Does that mean anything?
When I did it originally, I did both of them because I brought that up, and then I even came in here and got rid of these, because you don't have to have the line go all the way across.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, this is my quick and dirty cheat is I'll just have them in there somewhere because that's just where it needs to hit. And everything looks fine until you try to flatten it. And it's like, yay, it works. Oh, not so much.
Todd, since Toby's AFK for a moment, I'll channel my inner Toby and what's the date on the templates perhaps? Because I wonder if it's a template issue from when they re-architected the sheet metal aspect.
Whoa.
You win. Wow.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
So far, so good. You know what? I would like to see anybody who's on the call tonight. If you've got an older template than that, please let us see it.
Yeah. Yeah, because this was prior to me going in and changing the templates at work, going, oh my God, no. Your templates should not be able to drive.
No. So I got a
Sam,
question.
I think I can top that. I've got a Scooby-Doo model that I think it was Dave Wilson modeled like ages ago, and that template might date to the late 90s on that model.
From 3D Content Central.
That's
yeah.
I think I got something from
I
97.
think I might actually pulled that off of Paul Salvador's website way back in the day. He had his own 3D Content Central stuff he'd modeled up and accumulated.
Yeah.
He's got his own website. I think it's like zyx.com or something like that.
Yeah, and real early in the day, like I'm remembering back in like 2000 or 2001, he had all these wonky models that he had modeled that you could download off his site. So
That was cool.
yeah.
Hey, Todd, if you toggle that back to the flat pattern where it's failed, what happens when you force refresh?
Let me break it.
So Control Q, but now you still got an error.
Yeah. No. That's from the other bend. So
Gotcha.
it does not have an error, but Control Q will force that to figure it out.
Right.
Once.
Once.
It is very strange though that it's regular. It's every other flatten does it every time. That's weird.
That was what was so in a way cool about it, because I could capture it in an RX and send it to the reseller.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's emulating a circular rebuild where you have to rebuild it a couple times for it to.
That's exactly what I thought, because it acted like a circular reference.
That's what I meant. Circular reference, not rebuild.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, could someone have made the sketch bend, like drawn the bend sketch in a flat view? Try that. All right.
I believe it was, well, let me show you how things work. So, like I said, we do everything in the flat. And so we will do the first set of bends, and then we'll do the next bends.
So now say at this point, like say at this point, before your last set of bends, someone had clicked the flatten button and then drawn the sketch.
Oh, no.
No?
I don't think that was the case, because, you know, if you're in here and, well, you can't hit flatten because I've got it rolled back.
Because you rolled up, but yeah.
Yeah. But no, that was one of the things that was a little bit rough for me to get used to, is they draw everything in the flat. So this is your first sketch.
Oh.
Right.
And then you
but after your first two sketched bends.
I made my tummy hurt.
Yeah, I don't like that at all, but
sometimes equations have two answers, and maybe it jumps from one to another, something behind the scenes. It happened to me with splines once in a while. Maybe it's the same thing.
Well, let's see. The only equation we have is just thickness. So there's nothing really happening there. But it was...
Well, technically you have an equation for every angle, for every sketch bend.
Yeah, sine of your angle.
That's what I meant.
So Alex is in the chat. He's got a point that all your holes and features there need a rebuild. He was wondering if maybe this is what's causing the circular rebuild.
Let me.
I was gonna say, why aren't you doing it the easy way?
Yeah.
Pop it down.
My hand was elsewhere.
Okay.
But try this. Delete bends 4 and 5. Sure. And now flatten your part. And now draw a sketched bend. And like it can reference a point that doesn't exist or something maybe in the unflat.
Yeah, here, I'll break this away. So I'll just have it floating. That was a gnat.
Just do the 1. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see if that.
Yeah, it's not going to give me the tool
doesn't.
because I'm in my flat.
Yeah.
Oh, can you exit the sketch and then do it? Or are we spending too much time on this?
Oh, well, that's cool. You know, I'm wondering, Todd, again, going back to that templating issue that you know we're talking about. When they re-architected the sheet metal stuff, that I think it was for the 2013. That now that you're creating the feature anew with the
old
new
template.
the new info, that since the file has been updated to the 2019 version, that it will use the 2019 code to process things. So it breaks until you edit it, and it and you rebuild it with the new code. I've got a flex feature part, that pineapple twist I showed last month. That I built that originally in 2012. In 2014, it would blow up when I'd edit that flex feature, no matter what. I didn't change the part at all. Just went to edit it. Then in 2016, I opened it up again just out of curiosity, and it worked just fine. So at some point, the code broke, and the feature broke, so it'd fail. And then in 2016, and again the code was corrected somehow. So
now this is really interesting. It keeps trying to add it below the flat pattern. I think what happened was I got stuck in that now.
Not vertical.
It wasn't.
It
I was
isn't
afraid
right
of
now.
that.
Close enough, right?
Test it again.
I was trying to force it.
Alex says in chat that when you create a sketch, it's always below the flat pattern.
Well, I think what was happening there, I want to see this.
If you'll try to snap the entities to a sketch and not to edges, you're trying to snap the sketch to edges of the
I'm grabbing
model.
the quadrants.
Yeah, if instead of that you'll snap it to sketches, if you have a sketch or some kind of a sketch over there.
Show a previous sketch.
Yeah. So if you hide the solid body and try to snap it to the edge, will it still do it?
Oh, that was how it was originally made, because everything will tie into the original sketch. So now we're tied into that.
Mhm.
65, flip that.
Huh.
Ooh.
Now it doesn't do it at all. So now what I
Sounds
want
like
to
that's-
try
Oops.
is I want to try coming in here, blowing away that. Grab that, blow away that. We're just going to pretend that it's where it needs to be, because that's how these things work.
You've got 2 lines on that side, though.
2 lines on which side?
On the side you're
Oh,
working
yeah,
on.
I do.
Watch out, there was maze added by mistake.
There we go.
So that's probably why.
2 lines, yeah.
It's the template.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because I did a very similar process to what was done before, and now it's not doing it at all. The other one at least did it half the time.
That's weird.
So, yeah, it was a trippy one. I mean, it works now at work, but not sure what happened to this one.
Yeah, this is one of those parts you could F around with for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share the part?
This one I can't share, but I might be able to come up with something similar and be able to share it.
Todd Alex is suggesting what happens if you instead use the unfold feature, if that will fail or not, he's asking.
Sometimes you're able to unfold a feature, but you're not able to flatten it. So maybe that's gonna work. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Just as a way to test it, like hit that, collect all bends, see if it unfolds it. And then do a fold, hit that, collect all bends.
Interesting.
And that's the message that I would get.
Cannot be unbent.
And now you're gonna have to look at your flat. There's probably edges that are not perpendicular to the rest of the faces. That's what I'm guessing, actually.
Because, you know, this is the one that when I came in, if we suppress that and I okay, sketch bend, flip that.
I'm guessing your issue is somewhere in there that there's a face that's not perpendicular to the rest of the body. So I would look into that, Todd.
So
Yeah, Alex and Tracy are both
I like Tracy's
suggesting that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Tracy.
maybe
Use
fuse
the
with
draft
better.
analysis.
Because this is one that some of these are pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. They can be like right on each other. It doesn't matter because I've got patterns which are folded and they're touching each other. I've done them in different manners and they work. So I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah, so the suggestion here, Todd, is if you flatten it and then do a draft analysis to check the perpendicularity of the sides,
The
getting
edges and
flat.
sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you get back to the unbend state?
But the thing that's weird about this is that, you know, when I started this, when I redid this, everything worked and it was all good and dandy. And then now it's snapped back to, I'm not going to work now. So it's definitely quirky, and I'm totally cool with blaming templates.
When's this one from?
2003.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Template.
He's got me beat.
Yep. So, but that was a funky one, that just blowing away that one sketch and resketching those 2 lines made it work.
Hey Todd, do you work with verification on rebuild? That might be something that make you have errors like this also.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Performance? Yeah.
It's a performance. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so it is on.
Or ignore self-intersection for sheet metal features would be helpful too, probably.
Ah, come on, I like to pretend I'm using Pro E. So, no, I'll throw it back. That was one of the ones that was funny that happened yesterday, and it was like, huh. And so I was able to reproduce the issue, and I threw it up to the VAR, and he just went through and he was like, I suppressed this worked. And this sketch here, if you just delete it and you do it again, it works fine. So
that's crazy.
And I mean, I've seen some other quirky stuff this week, like because we sketch in the flat and we put all of our features in prior to the sketch bends. So, you know, all the holes and everything like that.
Why do you sketch from the flat though? That's what I'm wondering.
Not by choice.
That is wild.
It's
Just
company
following
policy.
orders.
That's what they do, and I like cashing a check, so I do it.
Show them the
Yeah,
light.
why is it a company policy? I mean, anything can be a company policy, but you can always negotiate about it and tell them, look, you can do it this way, and it's going to do the same thing, you know?
I think what it is I think that they got stung in the past. And the funny part is, like, if they want a really quick design, I will not do it this way. I'll do it doing normal sheet metal tools, and I'll knock it out really quick. And it's like, okay, is this what you're after? Okay, now give me some time to go and change it to your method. So they know that I can do things much quicker, what I call the proper way, but using the sheet metal tools, I can do things a lot quicker. And you know, it is what it is. And
if you start with a flat, what's the point in flattening it at the end? Are you just comparing the beginning and end to make sure it comes out right?
well, the flat at the end is basically what's used for the laser, the sheet metal, because we don't put any of the bends in until the very end. And trust me, you get some really ugly parts, because I've made some with a 4-way rib tool that basically looks like a hump. And each one of those is a sketch bend, and it's kink, 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 kink. It kind of blows.
No kidding.
Because normally you would just draw it as a line like that and go sheet metal and be done with it.
You must have a good benefits package, Todd.
Yeah.
Hey Todd, what was the trick that you used to check the date on your template?
Oh, just right click on it and hit properties and go, I have no idea who this person is.
That's not true. It doesn't tell you the date of your template, because even if you use a 2019 template, it's still going to be written 2003.
Well, it tells you the year that it was created.
Right. The template was made.
There's different underlying file architecture that got dished out in later versions of the software. So like 2003 was when, I think 2003 was when, I'm gonna get the dates wrong here, was
Dinosaurs
when
roamed the earth.
the
Multi-body.
multi-body stuff was added, and then 2013 was when the sheet metal multi-body stuff was added. So those are the
I'm
two.
definitely not winning the age fight here. Mine is October of 2019.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
See,
Todd,
and
we're-
Hey,
Go
Cam, I
ahead.
sent you one from 2000 in Slack.
You did.
Todd, I was just going to ask, were you joking that you didn't recognize that name?
I have no idea who that is.
That's probably
Fred?
Fred Keller, who
Yeah.
worked with Dave Pancoast in the training department at SolidWorks way back in the day.
Yeah, this probably came from one of the training examples, or maybe from the tutorial. When you go new, you've got the templates that your computer creates, but then you've also got the
Yep.
templates that ship with the tutorials.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
dollars will get you donuts. I bet that's Fred Keller.
Every new version of SolidWorks that we install, I create new templates from scratch.
Oh, very
Smart.
wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I came, because I've only been there for about a year and a half, and I came in and it was just like, holy cow, because they were running, I think 2018, and this was, well, yeah, they were at least close to current. We're on 2019 now because our sheet metal package for nesting and for the press brakes, we have to follow that, and that's usually a little bit behind. Not a gold partner.
Yeah, my place does 2-year cycles now.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of seats to install, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, and
But I
I
was
think
like, we're doing
Vermeer's
large
that
drawings
too.
for 2020. Wait till 2021.
That's pretty much ours.
Yeah. Rough.
That's what we do too. Is we wait until we're about to install 2019 here in the next month.
Oof.
I literally just installed 2019, like right around the whole COVID time, like when it was starting.
Glad I got that under the wire.
Yeah, Tom and I were just in a meeting with the PDM guy I know who he just upgraded to 2019 last weekend. For his whole
Ours
system.
was, I think ours was April. So we haven't been on 19 very long.
That was well into COVID time.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to happen before, and then they sent me home in mid-March, brought me back in mid-April, and I think that was when I did it.
Safety first.
Yeah,
All right. We got this question from Tom.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
This is a fun one.
This is a pretty fun
Yeah,
one.
let me get the model up on the screen here, Tom.
This is one that my coworker sent me, and it was a much bigger part, but I scaled it down to see the problem better. When you make a hem, you can show the size, how big it is. This is half inch or so.
Half inch, boom.
It's a sheet metal part, and if you make a hem on the bottom, and you did edit hem width, how wide is your hem there?
I made it 0.1 wide, and
okay, perfect.
so I tried to duplicate what you had in the.
Yeah, exit this. Now just measure the width of that hem, the little tab.
Yep.
So you got 0.1 inch, right?
0.1.
So now go to the next one. Same size.
Same conditions. Yep, here.
Just those little
Prove
steps.
nothing up my sleeve.
Yeah.
Hem width 0.1.
And measure that guy.
And it is, survey says, 0.092.
Nice.
All right,
plus or
Chumps.
minus.
It's stepped. You can see where it's stepped right before the hem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you don't
But
see that in the
why?
preview.
Right.
You don't see that in the preview, and it's the same size all the time. It's 4,000ths of an inch. It's probably like 1 millimeter or 1/10 of a millimeter or something. But like in a big part, you barely notice it. That's why I drew it like small like this.
Mm.
So all right, chumps, tell me what's going on.
It's a template issue. Yeah.
It's the answer to everything.
Wait, did you not want to say that out loud, Dan? Because then we'd have to drink.
I have this from a previous. Someone told me to write down my issues with something, like make a list of the reasons we should do something, and this was my list. So everybody drink.
Yeah, drink. Okay,
Sure.
so yeah, you're right. It doesn't even show up in the preview.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say it has something to do with your relief based on the sides of that opening.
It only seems to do it on when there's two walls on either side.
Correct. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So right now it's here. I'll check the box.
Yeah, you can run through all those choices all you want. And it doesn't change anything.
Oh, okay. I figured you wanted to address that, Tom. So yeah.
You can try it if you want. Go ahead.
I assume if the bend is above that edge, it doesn't happen. Like if you did the so right under edit hem width, next one up, that guy. No,
So
no,
it's normal.
Why
there.
no 92?
Oh no, it's
You're picking the wrong edge, man. You got to pick the other edge, the one that's vertical. I mean.
No, he's picking the right edge.
Yeah.
That should be 0.1.
From what I'm seeing, the hem says the 0.1 should be on the other side. Because if you look at the sketch, not the sketch, but the image inside the feature, it actually says that the measurement starts from the radius to the end.
no. We're not talking about the vertical distance. It's this.
No, we're not talking about the length of the hem, but there's the actual 0.1.
Oh, now I get it. Okay.
Yeah, here. Just
You can make the other one 0.2. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
That's probably
reading my mind, man.
from SolidWorks. It's probably something that it calculates itself.
Yep, 0.092. But I wonder here.
Like rip edges or something.
What if instead of having it like half an inch wide, you have it 3/4 wide? Will it have the same result?
You still end up with a 4,000th step on it. That's why it's easier to see when everything's really small. But you can make this big, and we'll still have a tiny little 4,000th step.
And no matter how far you scale the two walls on the side of it, like if you were to make the hem 0.1 wide, but put the walls at like 100 inches away, will it still do it?
You could try it.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to do it. It's generally something that SolidWorks calculates.
What did you do?
I guess what I'm wondering is, does it have anything to do with the distance those two walls are away from the sides of your hem?
The original part that the guy showed me, it was like 15 inches wide opening, and then he made like a 13-inch wide hem. I'm not sure if that any do.
Like you need to edit the feature again, Eric, and change the hem type.
Oh, thanks, Cam. I'll take my meds and I'll be fine in a few minutes.
Don't have enough room there, really.
Good on that side. Can you rotate and see the other side? Where there's a edge there.
Because there were no walls on the outsides.
Toby just posted in chat the SPR for that.
Oh,
really?
Oh,
it's in 2021.
Great. 3 years later, I'll have it.
Josh.
2021.
Well, that's a, decent segue to, I guess, our next question.
Can you?
I'll sort of.
Can you? I'm just curious. Can you insert face delete there? Does that fix it? I mean, not fix it, but you know, does it? We'll fix it. Whatever.
Oh, what was that again, Toby?
I'm trying it on my end too. I just want to see if you can.
I was wondering too if there was a solid workaround for that.
Yeah.
But the workaround that we used,
Do a
like,
delete
I
face?
cut the relief slots first, and then put the hem on the full edge.
Gotcha.
And then you ignore the relief in the feature.
Yeah, didn't need it.
See you, Alex.
Later, Alex. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Alex.
Thanks for coming, Alex.
It's good to put a voice to the name.
Yeah. I don't know. Dan's camera's all goofed up, so you can't see him, but that's
Glad
Dan.
to hear you guys too.
Yeah, your glare is killing me.
There's a big crack in my screen, so you're seeing the crack in the camera.
No, that's what Dan really looks like.
Yeah.
He's operating in the spirit plane.
I don't know how to
There's a
switch
glow
my
about
screen to the other camera.
There's another camera.
Well, I'm on my phone, so I have the camera on the other side of the phone, and I don't know how to switch my screen to it.
Oh, I see Joe Dodge is here. Joe, we had answered your question a while ago, and I didn't know if you had joined the session in time to see the discussion or not.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh,
Dan,
better.
crystal clear.
There's Dan.
There's that. Good on.
Except now I can't see the screen.
Go stand in front of the mirror so you can see
There
the
you
screen in the mirror.
go.
That's funny. Yeah, Joe, I'd hate to say it, but I think if you want to see like a nice long presentation of your question and maybe 4 or 5 different options, even though the answer was no, you can't do that, but there's about 4 or 5 ways you can get around it.
Yeah.
You might already know them, but yeah, we're gonna post it in the video.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably have the video up sometime tomorrow. These log recordings take quite a while to render to post them on YouTube, but we'll get it up there.
Very good. Thank you.
Right on.
So you can do a move face, but you'll probably have to do it twice.
Yeah,
Do a move face, translate up to surface,
that's cool.
start, and I think you need the direction, but
Will it unbend?
will it blend? I don't know.
No,
Will it
unbend.
unbend? Yeah, will it flatten?
Will it blend?
I know. Yeah, well.
No, there's a jog there.
Oh god. Oh wait,
you
you
only
just
did
moved
one
the face
side.
on the one side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only did. You have to do 2 move faces or a mirror or something.
Yep.
So yeah, Toby led us into kind of a decent segue. So, inquiring minds want to know. Whoop,
Hey, Sean, welcome. Where
how
the
do
heck
you
is your
vote
camera?
for and or submit an enhancement request?
Hey, Sean.
And the first answer is much easier.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not full screening, but okay.
Yeah, we're running into the audio problem again.
No audio?
I can sort of hear the audio, I think, through someone else's microphone.
Yeah, you might have
Oh,
to
all right, let's just we'll do it live.
Point.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, good. The customer portal's working today. It wasn't yesterday.
All right. Hopefully everyone has a customer portal account. I don't know. Am I gonna like be showing serial numbers or something?
Don't you have to have a customer portal account in order to log into the forums?
Yeah, so everyone has a customer portal account. Hopefully everyone knows that it exists. It's doing some thinking today, apparently. There we go.
Siebel timed out.
So
That's what it always says,
the
right?
enhancement requests you can submit up here. Why does it ask me to log in again?
Because
Right?
you're entering
I
the
don't know. What are we-
super double secret probation zone.
Body line font. Nothing. Not a single one. So if you don't find anything, I mean, I feel like there should be something based on this, but if you don't find anything that already exists, you can click here to create a new request. And you're gonna be asked to put in, an area. Is this a composer? Is this a SOLIDWORKS assemblies? Now, it might be an assemblies issue or it might be an assembly issue. Those are very different things.
Yes.
Apparently.
Right.
Pluralities.
You might still be using Cosmos.
To the duality of man.
So before you go that far, can you talk about that ER number that's on the top?
This is just auto assigned. So
Correct,
once you
but-
submit it, this is.
But only you can see that. You can't like share that number with anyone else and have them vote on it. That's just a you only thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's you and development.
Correct.
You
As
may
far
or
as I
may
know.
not be getting into the next question a little bit there, Dan.
I totally apologize.
Right.
Oh, it's okay. We understand that this is going to spawn more questions.
Yep. So areas, sub areas, this is how they do their data management.
It's not
trying to. And
this
then
particular
describe
issue
it,
is not
attach stuff.
right?
What's that?
Sorry, this issue is really within parts, not assemblies, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Parts
if
are
we're going
drawing.
to do the
Yeah,
if we're gonna
parts.
do the line font thing, it's probably more of a drawing views.
Yeah, true.
Line fonts.
There you go.
I think this could spawn a nice almost show and tell where everybody can share what enhancement requests they got implemented.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it is in
because-
there as like a straight solution. It's not like an ER or a bug. They just say outright you can't do it in the knowledge base.
So
but
why do you need this? I don't know.
multi-body
why do you need
damage, make it more
Because
clear.
I want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I should be able to. Damn it. Oh,
Father and I said so.
The secret is saying AutoCAD can do it.
Yeah.
there you go.
I like that.
I've been doing this in AutoCAD since R12.
I don't know, something like that. And there you go. It goes in. You can review it. It's very surprising that I didn't find another enhancement request in there that I could attach this to.
No, it's not.
Because it's terrible. Yep. All right. So yeah, then the
Such a
next
cutting
question.
edge idea.
The next question is, all right, if I know an enhancement request exists, how do I vote for one?
Please, Lord, tell me.
Well,
Anyone can answer this freaking question.
Hey.
I'd love to know.
Do you guys mind if we back up for a second?
Yeah.
So go back to that screen that showed all of your enhancement requests. So I just wanted to explain that the one you just created says open, but all the other ones say closed. That does not mean that they've been fixed.
No,
Right.
That means that they've just been assigned SPRs.
Right, they've been moved up in the chain.
Right. And you will get an email once they've decided to do something with it.
Yeah. This never
Good start.
happened. This definitely never happened. This was
So when you click on that PR number, does it show you the SPR that's related, or I can't remember?
It should. Yeah, right there at the
Yep,
bottom.
there we go.
Yep.
So you can't really vote on an enhancement request. I guess you have to vote on an SPR.
Correct.
And do that through your VAR. There's no ideas page for enhancement requests on the forum or whatever the forum will become.
Search for that SPR in the knowledge base.
Yeah, please do. I want to see this.
Yeah, there was a way, but it was very non-intuitive.
I'll do that through MySDub. Okay, it does exist, and this is what you get.
Wait, click on the force vectors up there.
Status is open.
Because I have this freaking thing.
Yeah, it won't let you open 2 sessions.
Right.
I hate that so much. I thought I got around it.
That should be loading on the left.
Yeah, there should be.
I don't know why you're not seeing the options there on the left.
Wait.
You tried downloading the latest version
that's
of
a different
Microsoft
SPR
Edge.
now.
Yeah. What if you just go back to the knowledge base and type in that SPR number? Like search again right there. Yeah. Sorry, I'm probably jumping ahead.
No, I mean, this is good. Well, it's not happening.
What browser are you using?
Chrome.
Oh.
Nothing like Edge, despite how much they want it to.
Yeah.
Right. That is interesting. I just go to customer portal, and it takes me back to this. Wow, they broke some stuff.
111111. That's a weird SPR number.
That's
yeah. Apparently it exists.
Mother of all SPR.
Wow. All right. So I just have to get rid of this completely.
Your cookies and your registry and reboot.
They've broken the whole site.
What if you just
literally have?
What if you open a in private tab and try it that way? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so it's not using cookies and stuff.
Tried
Yeah.
Current users.
But I should not have to do that.
Incognito. I agree. You shouldn't have to do that. Everybody, don't look.
Oh, hey, I got the same.
You don't know how many dots I have.
All stars? You're not the only one.
My password is 8 asterisks.
All right, go straight to the knowledge base.
Yeah. Because I've got an FAQ on the forum for how to vote for an NSPR.
Oh, thank God.
Now, Dan, your FAQ is awesome. I was just talking about it. I was there. I followed your instructions. However, knowledge base sucks.
I agree the knowledge base sucks, but that's exactly the way you would vote on an enhancement request as well.
The instructions are better than the knowledge base.
Exactly.
Like,
follow the correct instructions and it doesn't work.
None of these have anything to do with like the actual idea or enhancement. This is like
they can pat themselves on the back.
This is the grammar teacher that passes it on to the coding instructor.
Yeah.
So isn't that one there?
It's the second one down.
Yeah.
Easy
the
to
second
find?
choice.
No.
The second choice on the bottom. Yeah. That's how you vote right there.
That's an actual vote.
Just by saying notify me is so intuitive.
It is not intuitive at all.
Yikes.
Okay.
Man.
So by adding yourself basically to the mailing list for whenever this gets completed, you're just adding your vote to their system.
By taking that to show interest, they take that as a yes vote, and then everything else is gravy, huh?
But you can't tell how many other people have voted on it or expressed interest in it.
Does that now show up in my SPRs?
It should show up now. Now that you, maybe.
Well, it'll already show up there because I was the one.
Because it is yours. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Never mind.
So if you search for somebody else's SPR and
Maybe you can
Well,
vote for your own stuff.
You've probably voted on other SPRs, right?
Yeah. Well.
Okay, then
maybe
you
not
should be
that
able
one.
to see them in there.
so if you go back to my SPRs, you should be able to see somebody else's something.
6.
If
How
that's
many
the
numbers is it? Is it 7 numbers?
Sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 7, depending on how old it is.
Try all ones.
All right.
Troublemaker.
See, it's got technical comments. It's got everything. All right. So yes, I want to know if this number
The worst part about this is you have no idea. You have no idea if you've ever voted before, unless it might sit in your my SPRs area. But there's nothing to show you once you open an SPR to show you that you voted on it before.
Yeah.
Well, it's not on
Well,
this
wouldn't it be nice if there was somebody from SolidWorks on the call who could share this with the right person?
Wouldn't it just all right. So yeah, so the last one that I voted on, the last one in this list is here.
That's the one you just voted on?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's got, it's the only one with comments, which is good. So yeah, there you go. That's something that you can't actually get from here or do anything.
How many CSWEs does it take to
all of them.
You can search for it up here.
Hey, that wasn't on exam.
Hey, welcome back,
that
Ivan.
does not help. All right, so that's rough. That is rough.
Yep. And that's why I felt it was a good question to ask.
Yep.
Oh,
That's a
indeed.
great question.
I mean, I hate to
And
be
there's no
the chump that
direct
stumps the
link.
chumps, but I mean, that's just a bad system.
Yep.
I've had to
So-
relearn that at least 5 times over the years. And I get stuck just like we did here live every time trying to figure out, okay, where do I go again?
So can I copy this link, put it in the chat, and can it take you guys directly to this SPR for voting?
Oh, wouldn't that be
You'll have
Too
to,
easy.
we'll all have to log in. See, unfortunately, here's the thing. If you have to log in halfway through that, clicking on that link, then it'll lose the fact that you're going to that SPR.
You have to log in ahead of time.
Can
Yeah.
you log in and then
What-
click the link?
I think you can, but it's tricky.
Sorry, so I'll
What's
close
the-
my incognito window. I'll open
mean-
link in the chat.
What's the limitation with just searching the ER field for the SPR number?
Look who's
Did I
here.
miss that?
For some
Like-
reason, if you put the SPR and then the number, you'll never find it. So you got to just put the number in.
Okay. And then you can click the vote for enhancement button.
Or- yeah.
If there was one.
Yes, but notify.
If you go back to go back to search results. Really go back to
What
that.
is the number? Wouldn't mind sharing that
I
SPR
don't know.
number.
It's not part of the link.
Like if you go back to the home button in the upper right there, and then you click on enhancement request, and then put in search for 223663.
Yeah, there's a
Cool.
slightly different interface.
Click on that one down there. So then
Yeah,
here you get the button, but
Right.
Oh,
Whoa,
Ah,
how
look
did
at
he get
that.
that?
But
How did
but
he get that?
you-
I just clicked on the same thing and didn't get it.
that
Right there.
only works for enhancement requests and not for SPRs that were created as bugs.
that makes sense.
Oh.
But we
okay.
searched for my enhancement request, and
Maybe it depends on like where it is in the system, like if it's been filed a certain way. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Yeah.
No,
Hold on.
what I mean is like if I call my VAR and I say I've got this big giant problem, and see, not all SPRs are enhancement requests.
Right.
Right. So
Those
that only works for SPRs that are enhancement requests.
Okay.
It does not work for SPRs that are not enhancement requests.
So this is an enhancement request. This is the SPR that came out of it. If I then go back to knowledge base, or yeah, knowledge base,
Enhancement
right?
request. No, enhancement request there in that list.
Well, that's where he just was.
I was in my
He's in-
enhancement request.
Yeah, he was in my enhancements.
I found the SPR number, and then if I go here,
Or send that number to your friend.
What was that? 837-217.
Okay, so the trick is which search tool you use.
yeah, all right.
Got a totally different interface. Now search for the same SPR in the knowledge base. And I want you to see what's different.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are enjoying this. Just wait till you get a load of 3D experience.
Oh, don't even get me started. I'm knee deep in that.
Jeez.
Sorry, Sean.
God, why is it so
Sorry,
slow?
John.
All right, so knowledge base.
It looks the same here, but as soon as you click it, you get this. Totally
And
different.
yet this is the same as.
Yeah, so see, that's what I'm getting. How did you get that vote for enhancement button? What did I do wrong?
Because he clicked on the enhancement
searched-
link instead of the knowledge base link.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
But
Everything
saying yes,
on the whole
notify
of my
me is the
SolidWorks
same.
tells me to go to the knowledge base.
Right.
Yep. And you search my SolidWorks, it'll only take you to the knowledge base. But so will clicking the radio button that says notify me, will that do the same exact thing as clicking vote for this enhancement?
Yes, that's what I've been told.
I don't believe it. I will believe it when I see.
That's what I've been too, but I don't believe it either.
But,
It's like, why
like
just
you
make
said-
a vote button?
Oh, but then you have to do this.
But like I said, be aware that when someone gives you an SPR number, you don't know if that SPR is an enhancement request or not, because some of them are not. So if you try searching it through the enhancement request link, you might not find it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't find it there, then what do you do?
Then you go to the knowledge base and search it there.
Okay.
And click on the tell me when. So this is interesting. I'm just trying to go home, and it's telling me I have to put in my additional details.
Really? Okay.
Well,
yeah.
there's a red star there,
I was just
obviously.
trying to click the little button.
Well, yeah,
That
just
really
the
screws
same
up.
thing you did.
They've been using Siebel since the beginning, so it's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what Tom said too, Eric.
Oh, the video card
Yeah.
tool.
Well, while we're pooping on the on the customer portal.
Please, let's.
I went back to this for the first time in a year today, and I was horrified with what I found here.
Yeah.
This is news to me.
R440.
Yeah, everything's R440. No matter what you pick in there, R440 shows up.
Wow.
For at least for we were doing 2020 for Lenovo. You know.
Wait, what's it saying?
Well, actually,
Pick
let me do
2020.
legit.
Yeah, do 2020
I
in
can't do
Lenovo. Oh, what'd you do? You broke something.
I have to go
I
back
can't.
into all and then back into 2020.
What'd you
Yeah.
do, Ray?
Anything specific?
Well, scroll down. Like, look at all the recommended drivers. No. Forget all that.
Oh,
Scroll.
Oh, okay.
So, like, what SolidWorks used to do was package you the correct driver to down. You can download it right from here. Now, click that 440, the R440.
Okay.
Yep, now they just give you a
All the way to
family of
page 9.
drivers.
They
yeah.
just bump you over to NVIDIA, and you got to pick everything again.
Yeah,
Start
Sid
all over.
did talk to me about this on the live stream the one night about how they are kind of moving over to
And-
yeah.
Even if you pick, like, go back to NVIDIA and then try to pick anything, like nothing actually specifically says R440. There's a billion numbers. I don't even know what they do.
I don't know what mine is. Mine's a ZBook something.
I believe it's the last 4 numbers of their really long number, I think.
Well, no, yeah, but like, try it. Like, seriously, go to the NVIDIA page and put in GeForce and
GeForce. No.
What kind of games are you playing on your CAD computer?
Or what is it? The Quadro card.
Quadro.
Pick anything. Quadro series. It doesn't matter.
Pascal, come on.
Sure. And just
You're going to get something different for notebook.
Yeah, so all right. I see a couple there's R40 U9, U8. There's like.
There you go. You're good. R440.
But then it's 443. Like what is it?
Oh,
You tall Toby toeing the company line.
I know.
Wait, how do you know which R440 to pick? There's 2 of them. More than one.
I was told to go with the latest
U4,
one.
U5, U6, U7, U8, U9.
Yeah.
I was told the new guidance is to go with the latest available from the manufacturer.
Whatever.
That's what gets us all in trouble.
Clearly, that's what the link to the manufacturer.
I mean, they're changing the way that the whole like video card architecture and family of cards works is kind of changing the dynamic. So that's the explanation that I got. That it's more about like which family of cards you're in, and then just use the latest one. I guess if it's saying R440, the latest one that's R440, that's the one that they've tested for that family of architecture. I know what you're saying too, Tom. Before they used to give you like the actual certified graphics card.
Yeah.
You know exactly.
And we'd start shopping. We only have maybe 15 different machines. It wasn't that hard to figure out, And we download the packages, and now I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder. So they spent a lot of time and effort trying to get the video card to enhance your experience on your screen, and I wonder if a lot of that work kind of made more of the wider range of video cards more usable, so that you don't have to worry about it quite as much anymore. Just keep your driver up to date, because they've made it a little bit more cooperative with the video card.
Has anybody gone to the RTX cards and seen any difference with the performance pipeline turned on in 2019 or above?
I haven't personally. Whenever somebody's on the SolidWorks Reddit and they posted they got an RTX card, I ask them, and they say that it does make a difference, but it's very allegorical. But
good word.
I mean, it's a
Could
very
be the
shiny card.
placebo effect. Hey, I got an RTX, so of course it must be.
Of course, it's working. Yeah.
Is that a bad word? Can I drink?
My VAR, CATI did a hardware presentation at SolidWorks World 2 years ago and showed some pretty impressive benchmarking results, like 3-4 times if you had that performance enhancement turned on. So I'm waiting to upgrade, so we're on 2018 Service Pack 5.
Okay.
But as soon as we get our 2020 upgrade done later this year, I'll be able to test that and see.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
All right. Do we have another question lined up?
Just talk about how to get product definition to talk to you. Which is an answer I'd like, because they were supposed to be here.
So I have something that stumped me a while back, but it may be not time intensive to look at it today. We might have to do it next month.
Let's get started.
Do you want me to talk about it?
Plant the seed, man.
Okay, so on my bill of materials, on my drawing, I need to put the weight of each component. Okay. Which gets really wonky if you start doing assembly cuts. Because if you do an assembly cut anywhere at all, the weights on the BOM do not update to what the new weight is in the assembly after the assembly cut.
Even if you propagate to the part?
If you propagate it to the part, it does update. But the problem is I don't want to propagate it to the part because this cut was made at the assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah.
So how do you get the BOM to update the proper weight without propagating the part? I mean, you can do that. Now I have to create a new configuration of the part that's for that assembly only.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, propagate and then do configs with and without the propagation.
Right, exactly. Because here the example is I'm creating a lathe fixture, okay? Big giant 3,000 pound lathe fixture that's going to spin at 1,000 RPM, okay? I have to have that thing perfectly balanced, which means I'm going to start. We generally do assembly cuts afterwards, cut pieces away to balance that thing. And in the meantime, I don't necessarily want to do that because we've got different parts going into different things. Those parts are going to look different on this assembly than they are on that assembly because of the assembly cuts. If that makes sense to you.
Yep.
Sounds like an abuse request.
Make them virtual parts.
Well,
And then
there's that option.
And then propagate.
Okay, that's a good option actually.
Oh.
Then it's a completely separate part now. It's no longer linked to anything else, but that's an option.
If you're gonna make a separate part, you might as well make a separate, not separate, but non-intelligent
base
mass
part
property.
derived.
Right.
Well, just do a derived part instead, so that your base part is still linked.
Yeah, that's an option too. Okay.
But, I mean, it's extra work.
Detail that, and would you need to detail that part if it was a virtual part? Because memory serves me, you can't make a detail drawing of a virtual part, can you?
Well, the way you can do it is do it from the assembly, but only show that part.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was 0.59.
So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the weight on a component is not taken at the component level, it's taken at the part level.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a custom property calculated at part level, right?
Correct.
Right.
Probably the technical problem with it. It would have to reevaluate that somehow at the assembly.
Right. Another way to do it, if I really, really wanted to dig right down into it and do some extra work, is to create create little configurations of the assembly that just shows that one part with everything else suppressed, and then that'll have the correct weight. But I was dinged by that a couple of times before I realized that the weight was not updating after the assembly cut.
Can you put a sensor value into a property?
I don't know the answer to that. I think you can put a sensor value directly into the. Yeah, I think you can for mass. I think you can do it for volume.
But would you then have to do that for every component?
Yeah.
Just add a mass sensor, and maybe that'll update with the assembly cut not propagating.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Toby, what did you just post in the chat?
It looks like it's a bug. Mass properties of assembly is incorrectly reported at the assembly level when the part is cut by an assembly feature.
Correct.
Yeah.
No fix. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fixed in Zolrix 2030.
Yeah.
They at least know it's broke.
Yeah.
What's the syntax for adding a sensor?
I have no idea.
I've never done it. I didn't even know if it was possible.
I just do it. You hit cancel there, or OK, hit OK there, and then go to evaluate. I mean, yeah, for that one, there's a
There you go.
That sensor over there.
That sensor over there.
That sensor over there, yeah. So you just hit OK there, and then you go to evaluate. Oh, you got it. Yeah.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
So how do I get this value?
Oh, you want that value in the properties?
Right? Isn't that what we're talking about?
I misunderstood what you're saying there. Yeah. So if you go file properties there, it's just in the mass is in that pull down menu.
But I don't want
that's
the
not a
mass.
sensor.
I want because this sensor will actually.
Well, that sensor update with an assembly cut, a non-propagated assembly cut.
A non-propagated assembly cut.
No, I mean
No,
the mass
because
of that part hasn't changed.
well, actually, hold on.
Like, can you see that sensor from the assembly?
Right. I'll make a new sensor in the assembly.
There you go.
No, I'm saying, is that one visible?
Let's find out.
It looks like everything has sensors.
Huh.
It's not there.
I've only ever used sensors a couple of times, and then it was just for playing with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you
there
go.
it is.
So it's config specific. So in my, well, you'd still need a config with a propagated cut. So let's
We
go.
want to do it with a non-propagated cut. Like do the cut, do the assembly cut, but don't propagate it, and see if that sensor updates.
So, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and be the guy that says this. They definitely need to fix this anyway, because if you have an assembly cut that affects more than one part, you're going to have to go in and just like spend hours making sure this updates.
Yes, that was an issue.
So this is non-propagated. The mass
and
is
That's the old mass.
0.72.
That's the old mass. That's the full. It's 0.59 for the other.
Yeah.
Update? I'll try to update. Nothing.
Yeah. So what if, but can I add? So let me get rid of this sensor. All right, let's get rid of this part real quick. Or not. So let's add a sensor in the assembly. 0.58.
Hey.
So if the sensor is in the assembly, which makes a lot of sense.
Now, can you pull that? So okay,
That's
now
it.
how do you add that sensor as something you can have on your BOM for that line item? I don't think you can do that.
Right, and
Yeah,
and
that's
when
where
you
get to
have
property.
unless you're doing a separate column for the BOM that says like, you know, mass, like component mass and after assembly mass or whatever, you would have to do a sensor for every component if you wanted it all in one column, right?
Well, if you could pull that sensor into that line item in the BOM, and I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can use individual assembly properties for line item properties in your BOM.
Not likely.
That BOM column has got to be consistently pulling from the same property for every component.
Right. That's the issue. It's not pulling from properties from at the assembly level. It's pulling from properties at the part level.
What's a component?
Even
reference?
if you could pull an assembly sensor reference into it, unless you did that in addition to the normal mass component level reference, you would have to create it for every component, which would not be practical.
Right. But when I first did it, I just expected the mass on the BOM to reflect the assembly mass, but it didn't.
Yeah, it needs to be a toggle, a per component toggle.
There might be a syntax for adding sensor values.
But You get what I'm saying? Even if there was a syntax for adding sensor values, you can't get that number into the BOM because it's an assembly property, not a component property.
Mm-hmm.
Might need a macro to do this.
Yeah.
No. I think the configuration idea, someone mentioned propagation with configuration, that seems like the best bet at the present time, because my idea of doing a derived part, a base part, would not work well if you had a part number assigned and you wanted that, like, for example, in my PDM system, I have rules that I can't duplicate part numbers. So if I created a separate base part, it would have to be a different part number.
Yeah. Okay. So to give you an idea of this issue that I was having is I was creating lathe fixtures. These lathe fixtures were using standard posts, okay, on these lathe fixtures that were used on like dozens of fixtures. And then once the posts are installed onto the lathe fixture, we would come through and we would balance it by essentially cutting pieces off of these posts as we went around. Okay.
So if you did configurations, you would have to do a configuration for each assembly that you use it in.
Correct. That was the problem. I eventually did that, but I didn't want to do that.
Right, exactly. It's like spring, that's an issue. Springs in an assembly.
Right.
Before flex.
We're probably getting way beyond this.
Hold on. Yeah. Because we don't need the sensor reading. We just need the mass of the component, but it needs to be read in the context of the assembly.
Correct.
So can we just do like mass at whatever this thing is
At
called?
Component name, at assembly name.
Yeah, but I think, well, I don't know.
That would be too easy. And that would essentially be the toggle that I was suggesting. Like if there was a toggle in the properties of each component, evaluate mass at assembly.
It kept it the component or the part level mass.
It needs to be the part level mass, but it needs to be read at the assembly level.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Do I have this syntax right? Mass at part at subassembly at assembly?
I have no idea.
Seem right.
I thought you needed two ats in there, but I guess I don't know.
No idea. Anyway.
It's not giving you an error.
It's not giving me an error. It's also still giving me the
interesting.
I'll bet it'll give you an error when you hit OK.
You know, that's not an error technically.
Okay.
Oh. All right. So
it's interesting. It's interesting. Your sensor is a different unit than your global variable there. Your global variable seems to be in. Yeah. Well, I don't even know what is that unit you're using there.
I assume it's. Well, you know, this is not a real project.
Well, fair enough.
No, I mean, this is probably in grams, but it's none of these things have material properties assigned.
Right, but that's showing 18 grams, and your sensor's showing 0.58 grams.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Like, I didn't apply steel properties to this thing, so it probably is all whatever the default is, which is low.
That's giving you your entire assembly mass, not component mass. Okay.
Because, yeah. But I want in.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got the same. You can't use the same. Yeah, there you go. Well, I guess not.
That's interesting.
Quotes, need quotes around it?
It's not red anymore, but actually, and this might be what saves you from having to do it over and over and over again. If we find a way to do it, link to external file.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a good one. We'll have
Got
a month
our
to
next
figure
challenge
out that one out.
for August.
It's a
The chumps
big
have been
oversight.
stumped.
When I asked the question on the SolidWorks forums, at some point I don't remember if I created a separate question for it or it was just buried in some other question somewhere. But the answer I was given was just propagate it to assembly or propagate it to part. And while that works, wasn't what I wanted.
Right.
I mean, in that spot, if you just got to get through it, I would do it with configs.
Oh,
And
that's interesting.
That's how I did it.
Yeah.
In the end.
So in the context of an assembly, when I rebuild and try to read the mass of a sensor in a part, it doesn't give it to me.
Oh, it failed.
Okay.
It didn't even fail. It just gave me an I. So it's 0.72.
Are you editing that part right now?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
there you
was editing that part.
All right.
And so I've exited the edit, Control B.
Okay.
That's interesting. But here's the mass of that one part in an assembly.
Post-assembly cut.
Post-assembly cut.
Yeah.
If I then suppress this, Control B.
Okay, it's a different mass.
Back to the original, yeah.
Oh, so I didn't even have to. Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it gives
So
you that
that is
there.
good.
Yeah, somewhere.
And it's non-propagated, right? No propagate.
Maybe it only looks one level deep.
This is in a subassembly.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, but now data not available.
Data.
And I do a Control B.
There. Is it like a circular rebuild or circular reference? Kind of? My answer for everything.
It would make sense.
Right. We're back to this.
Input issue.
Yeah, so now I've lost more mass. How do we get this? Adding custom properties, adding mass properties. So it's,
I wonder, I mean, it might be kind of kludgy and everything, but I wonder if like a macro could be written to harvest the mass property, the mass value from the mass property, and then stuff that into a value that gets ported into the bill of material.
Maybe, but the issue with the bill of materials is for the line items that are in there.
Yeah.
I don't think you can pull assembly properties at all. You have to pull.
I would think you would.
I think the macro would
I think
pull each component to figure out what its mass was, and then rate that at the, it would rate that to the part.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like have some type of custom property called mass after
Modified
assembly
mass.
features, modified mass, yeah.
Okay.
So it would shoot it back to the part file, and then the bill of material would read the part file property.
But that would be an in-session addition. That like it would not save in the part file, right? Because your part files would, you know, assuming you've got a PDM system, your part files are all read-only at that point.
Yeah, you'd have to check them out for it to save it.
Yeah.
And so then if I was using this part on dozens of different assemblies, I'd have dozens of different properties.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
name
but
the property like
you're making changes at the top level, and then if your files aren't checked out, it's not going to preserve that change.
We're essentially back to the propagate it to the part issue.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Am I doing this wrong?
Dude, I suck at syntax. I don't know. I think you need it in quotes, don't you, or something?
Well, I'm
I
looking
know
at
it needs
this.
letters and numbers in it, but beyond that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give us the 10-minute warning to the end of the recording, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cam.
Sorry, I asked a big one.
No, it's a good one.
Well, like I
I
said,
still see different ways of sorting through this one. I love diving into stuff like this and like
Yeah, exactly.
just kind of brute
I think
force
you
it.
can tell who the diehards are. We're the ones who are really interested in this.
Yeah.
So I did want to just mention, so we, last month, the last 15, 20 minutes or whatever, we kind of got into a bunch of different conversations. One of the things we talked about was possibly doing a show and tell this month. And I mentioned a massive single part that I made. And I just pulled it up. I wanted to see if you guys wanted to see it. It was a joint high-speed vessel. I made the entire ship with all the handrails and lifeguard stations and everything in one part.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
This was early in my career, so don't, shoot me. Do you mind if I take over, Dan?
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right.
Let's see this bad boy.
Similar.
Come on.
Nice.
So this is an actual scale. Now, I do have to say that I left two things, or nope, now I see 3, 4 things out. So there's a crane that goes back here. There's a vehicle loading ramp that mounts here. There's the jet propulsion mounts under here on each side. And then I also did a whole bunch of detail on a platform right above the flight tower there.
And
So those were separate parts done later on, but the entire ship here, including the the handrails for the stairs.
Where's the rivets?
Wow.
Where's the welds?
Yeah. Got the whole deck
Sorry.
inside.
That's
Forget the
awesome,
boat.
Cam.
Forget the boat.
That'd be 4 solid welds.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
ran
feature
into
tree.
some issues with the curvature on the hull. This is
Is this a multi-body part?
it is, and I've hidden the feature tree on purpose because I want that to be a reveal in and of itself. Just tell you right now, there's over 1,500 sketches.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Good gum.
How many times did you have to uncheck the merged bodies?
66 bodies.
If you create a weldman, you never have to uncheck it.
Right?
Oh, he did.
So I'll just go ahead and scroll down here a little bit. And you can see.
Nothing's named. It's all cut
I
extruded.
might
Like I said, this is early in my
I
career.
might be able to beat that.
I'd love to see it. I wasn't actually trying to be an idiot. It just happened. So, yeah, 1,546 sketches.
Was that for work or fun?
No, this was work. I used to work for the Navy.
Oh, I
So
recall you did.
I'll show you. I'll close this.
What's the Control Q rebuild time?
Are you breaking DoD guidelines by showing this to us?
No, because I didn't design the ship. I just modeled
Oh.
it after the fact.
Okay.
He ran out to the dock with a tape measure and his laptop.
Yeah. Actually had to have 18 sailors with end-to-end tape measures. To
Right.
reach that.
Actually, when I, screen sharing is paused, huh? What did I do?
DOD.
Yep. Nope.
Yep.
They swooped in. They stole my stuff.
They're everywhere.
What's that laser dot dancing on your chest right now?
Hey, look.
Can I steal it back, Cam?
Yeah, go ahead. Because I wanted to show you guys the top level assembly. I'll do that in a minute. After you steal it back.
Michael, that's bored.
Yeah.
Come on.
Holy moly.
So this isn't quite as good because it's not entirely one part, but this guy is one part.
Mm.
Wow. Is it in Lego?
That is my MO, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so after that, I just added a ton of oil drums and spools and trailers and tanks, but everything that wasn't like a duplicated part is this one guy. And I actually did this for a job that Rob Rodriguez asked me to help with. So you can always tell him that you've seen his stuff.
There you go.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm proud of this one. I like this one. I wonder what the tree does look like, though.
What blows me away is that you're sharing your screen and you're going into that tree and it's not taking 35 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
You got the roll forward feature going. Look at that.
yeah, there's not a lot that's, well, there's kind of a lot that's frozen, but I'm also on a beast of a work computer, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not a very long tree.
I have a big old hydraulic and pneumatic fixture that I'm using the master model method to do it. And I've got like 5 different multi-body parts that are driving all of my individual parts. And the main feature is similar to these ones, like a lot of features. Like the main what do you call it? Assembly multi-body part? Yeah, the main base model is a ton of features in it.
Wow.
Whoa, come back here.
It's got the customer model in it, or I would share it on the forums, but
Yeah.
991
solids.
Wow.
Oh, you couldn't have gotten 9 more in there. Had another stack of oil drums.
Does it count
Sorry,
frozen
wait a minute.
solids?
400 features and how many? And 900 solids. That's impressive in itself.
It
Well,
does
I probably
count
did,
frozen
you know,
solids.
I probably did like these as a single feature.
Right, as patterns and so
Probably did
on.
like a bunch of these and then a sweep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so this is a good one.
All right, I'm gonna snag back real quick just to show you guys because I finished loading that. But
oh,
yeah,
sweet.
Oh man.
Oh, it's pretty.
So
That's
the crane actually works. Like the vehicle
whole
ramp
new book.
actually works.
Hey.
So the little bit iffy part here is I can't show you inside this this container here because that's an actual
That's top secret.
there's an actual system there I cannot show you. But so we had to build this exoskeleton so that the antennas that are a part of the system could see up over the superstructure. And
wow.
we had 3 different versions of the system. So I actually I stole parts from one of the other ones to make this one have a taller superstructure when we were working on this particular ship. And then this is the platform I said I had to detail because it's the parts missing. But anyway, so there's a mounting plate here. I had to know exactly where the bolts would fall through the grill and everything, so I had to detail that one out pretty good.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
to mount a separate antenna over here, but
Our
yeah.
tax dollars at work.
Oh yeah,
Right on.
that was a good one. Anyway, I'll give up the screen now.
Okay.
That's awesome. Oh, guys, I gotta go. My kids are calling.
Dan, thanks for coming. Hope to see you again next time.
Thanks,
It is
Dan.
Thanks,
about that
guys.
time.
See you, Dan.
Dan.
Yep.
See you, Dan.
So again,
My
we'll have
dogs are
this.
barking at
We'll
me
have
anyway.
this video posted up on the YouTube SWUGN Chumps channel sometime tomorrow, and we'll get the notification for next month on just as soon as possible. I think we've got something
Absolutely.
good going on here.
Yeah. So
Filled
if I
3
could
hours
say-
again with 4 questions. 4 submitted questions, so I think
So-
we got a good format.
please, everybody, try to share your screens next time. We want to see your face. This is a real meeting, not a webinar.
Yes.
Get the word out. Get people to submit questions. Give us a little bit more fodder to work with. This is a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Well, thanks
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks, and
Thank
special
you.
thanks
And
to
thank
see
you
you
to
next
Toby
time.
for coming in, our
Toby.
special Chump.
My pleasure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
awesome. I love sessions like this. I can't wait for the next one.
Hey, fantastic.
Michael, if you're talking to us, we can't hear you.
He's got a thing in his ear.
Yeah.
I think he's on a call. It's morning there, you know. Give him a break.
Right.
Yeah, either that or the voices
Order
are back.
coffee.
We'll get him on his meds.
There you go.
Notice he
So if
doesn't
I-
have a beer in his hand yet. It's
if I
so
can-
early.
I want to plug Toby. Everybody go over to Too Tall Toby's YouTube channel and
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
subscribe.
I was
Hey,
subscriber.
look at us now. Michael, you're muted if you're talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, guys. See you.
All right, guys. Take
Okay.
care.
See you, everybody.
Cheers, all.
No, you hang up first. I don't want to. You
No,
hang up.
you